101 ESPN in St. Louis. Happy Monday. It's 7:02. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Brooke Grimsley, who made it in, and Matthew Rocchio, who made it in. I'm Randy Carricker. Danny takes Mondays off. If you aren't aware of his schedule, he's Tuesday through Friday. Congratulations, kids.
Look at us. We did it.
We did it.
Now, Randy, you have a lot of gear that's over there. Can you please tell the story of how you made it here? You are a survivor. You made it here this morning.
Okay, well, with the warning yesterday, and we got a text from our boss, Tommy Matter, and said, major ice storm coming tonight. And by the way, when you walk out of your house this morning, everybody, be careful, because you might fall like I did a couple of times. And I'm old, and I fell. I didn't break a hip, thank goodness, because that's what old people generally do. But I didn't. So yesterday when we got that text, I thought, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Because I live close, I'm going to just take all my stuff in, because I might have to walk in the morning, and I don't want to be walking in the dark, in the cold, in the ice with a backpack and a little cooler, because I bring my water in and stuff like that. So I brought all my stuff in and set it in the office yesterday, thinking, okay, 1 in 100 chance that I need to do this, but I'm going to do it. Get up this morning, and lo and behold, the meteorologists were right. Congratulations to them.
Yes.
Good job, Tempe and Scott Connell and the gang. Really, Matthew with the slow clap there. And so I put on my Eddie Bauer snow boots. Very nice. Got them for Christmas one year. And open up my garage door and take a step toward my car, and boom, I'm on my butt.
No.
Yeah. So I think, oh, well, this can't be this bad. So I literally slide down. I have to stop myself by grabbing the handle on my car. I'm in my driveway. I have to grab the handle on my car to stop myself from sliding all the way down the driveway. And then I try to go back up the driveway, and I am like Harry in Home Alone, trying to get back up the steps, you know? Yes. When Kevin had iced the steps, that's what I'm trying to scurry. Finally, on the side of my car, I'm able to pull myself up again to the top of the driveway, go in, and as I showed you, Brooke, and I'll show you kids, I switched from my my snow boots, which were effective for snow but not for ice.
Oh, here we go.
And
here we go.
I used, if you're watching on the old on the YouTube this morning, and by the way, you should, if you're in St. Louis, you should not leave home this morning. But I switched to golf shoes, and I walked to work. I have a flashlight, and I live down the hill in my neighborhood. Getting up the hill was a hassle. It was a biatch.
I cannot. What a morning for you. One, the golf shoes, that is a brilliant move.
Thank you.
A brilliant move. And all the things that you have, you were even prepared the day before.
Yeah.
But did you scream out for help at all? Did you say, help?
Oh, no, I cursed a few times when I fell. But no, and I did have the flashlight in case I did fall in the middle of Craig Road and Creve Coeur. So I had a flashlight so that I could wave it, kind of like the movie The Rock, where at the end the Nicolas Cage character is waving his flare. I wanted to be, if I was in the middle of a street and a car or truck was coming, I wanted to be able to wave that.
So they can come save you.
We actually have a live replay of Randy Carricker this morning.
That was you. Well, Randy, what a story. Because I think that you had the toughest situation because you walked here this morning. I actually drove. You drove too, right, Rocc?
Matthew got a hotel room.
Yeah, I don't. When that offer comes down from management, I do not say no. I go, okay, I set a late check-in time. I get all my stuff done at home. And then, I kind of did Randy's version where I was like, if I can just get out there tonight, I'm going to do that. So thank you very much to management for always offering it. This is the second time I've taken them up on it in my 2 years now of working here. It's like my second week here when I started working here that I had to do it as well. So I stepped out of the hotel, out of the side door, because my car was parked right outside my room. I got lucky there. And there was a downward sidewalk from the door to the parking lot. So I did a little ice skating routine right down to my car and then defrosted. Did
you fall?
No, I actually stayed on my feet somehow. I swear, I'd be honest if I was falling, if I fell. And then I slid down there. I sat in my car for like 20 minutes until the ice thawed a little bit because I thought, I can walk over. It's very close to the station. But my problem was I'm going to fall if I have to walk over here because there's going to be a lot of ice that I just don't see coming. There's going to be stairs. This is going to go poorly for me. So I saw a couple trucks out there. They're doing a great job of salting it down the way they can, and I just followed one of the plows on a back road.
Oh, so after saying that you didn't like how they treated the roads, now you're saying
because
that
they did a better job, and so my opinion changed because the facts changed.
I'll tell you what. If you are in St. Louis, then my personal recommendation is don't even bother this morning. Wait until the roads are treated. Don't even try to walk out of your house because you might break a bone. It's dangerous out there.
No, I almost did this morning too, because we have like a little kind of incline. We have stairs, but then the stairs were not even a good option. So I was like, okay, I'll take the grass, and I'm just kind of like slowly. And then I did slip a little bit, and I like screamed out a little bit. So if you live in U City, that was me that was screaming this morning. I get spooked so easily by everything. I was like, ah! And so it's just like a little shriek. I'm fine. Nobody's getting murdered. I promise you. It's just me trying to get out to my car this morning.
So we do have sports to talk about, and we're going to talk about it throughout the morning. A great weekend of NFL action. The Blues with an impressive win on Saturday night. Horrible weekend for the local basketball teams. Not great at all.
No.
And the Cardinals have a new player, and we're going to talk about
who's
him.
that? Is it somebody new,
It's
young?
like old. No, not young.
Oh wait, what?
It's kind of new and old. It's Matt Carpenter.
Oh,
Yeah, we remember him.
yeah, I remember him.
Remember in 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
I think I remember Randy saying something like last week. I think I remember like Randy saying something last week. Like, you know what? If you get Chris Carpenter into this team, it could really help them. I think they misheard you.
Yeah, that's right. I think so. So we'll talk a little bit about Marp being. And by the way, he does have the great nickname, so that's a good thing. And he's going to be on with BK and Ferrario at noon today. Marp is going to be on on their show. Yeah, looking forward to that. I wonder. Well, I won't recommend any questions.
Oh, Randy, are you sure you don't want to give them some questions? What's the first question? Just give us a hint what your first question would be.
How do you expect to help this club, Matt?
There you go.
Yeah, they signed with the club. Obviously, you expect to help them. How?
Well, according to the press conference this weekend between Mozeliak and Matt Carpenter, it seems like it's going to be more about his off the field than on the field presence.
Great.
A lot of veteran talk this past season, right? Or going into this season.
Yeah, they need it. Football yesterday, the Detroit Lions advanced to the NFC Championship game with a 31-23 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Really wasn't that close. Tampa Bay with a garbage touchdown. Then inexplicably, they tried for the 2-point conversion. I don't know why they did that. Bad move on Todd Bowles' part. And then Baker Mayfield, shaky bakey, as Jamie Rivers calls him, is shaky, right? And winds up throwing the game-losing interception. And then the late game was epic. Kansas City goes into Buffalo and wins by a score of 27-24. Isaiah Pacheco with a touchdown run late in the third quarter. The defense is really buckled down in the fourth. Just over a minute left and a chance for the Bills to tie this game and send it to overtime.
Has to make one for us. The game on the line, he will. 44 yards, Bass. No, he doesn't make it. Wide right. Wow. The two most dreaded words in Buffalo have surfaced again.
Really did stand up and make it very difficult on every 3 plays to make it. Buffalo just didn't have anything easy, no big plays. And to me, the pressure of that moment, so intense, Jim. It's not over here right now.
You got 2
but
timeouts
Kansas
for the
City
Bills.
is definitely in a driver's seat.
And Kansas City did hold on to win. And there's nothing worse, Brooke, than losing a playoff series or game at home if you're a fan. And, man, those fans were beside themselves in Buffalo because they thought with the winning streak and being at home that they were going to advance to be able to take on Baltimore next weekend. But sheer heartbreak in Buffalo again this morning.
Do I feel bad about it? Am I supposed to feel bad about it?
Okay, Miss Music City Miracle.
No, but in general, I will say that a lot of narratives I felt like were squashed this weekend. Not for Josh Allen, but for Patrick Mahomes. There was this big to-do about him going on the road for his first playoff appearance, on the road, that is. And I didn't buy into that, and neither did Patrick Mahomes in them. That was probably, I think, in my opinion, their best showing offensively all season. And we were talking about the big plays like Tony Romo was talking about there. The Chiefs had 8 plays of 20 yards or more. The Bills had none. So you can't get upset with Tyler Bass in this situation. The Bills had a lot of opportunities that they could have capitalized within this game, and they didn't. The Chiefs were the better team, in my opinion.
Here is Josh Allen on losing to the Chiefs again.
Sucks. Losing sucks. Losing to them, losing to anybody at home sucks.
I like Josh Allen, and I feel bad. But he didn't. He had trouble navigating Spag's defense, and they put 24 points on the board. But, man, it was tough sledding all night long for that Buffalo offense. Meanwhile, Brooke, what did you think after Kelsey's first touchdown when he does the heart sign up to the Taylor Swift suite?
I thought that was to his shirtless brother who was getting hammered with all the Bills fans.
His shirtless brother.
That's who he was doing that to, right?
Yeah, right. Much better television.
That was incredible. That was probably one of my favorite moments from the weekend. That or Patrick Mahomes getting pelted with snowballs by fans.
and enjoying it.
He was. And that's why I love this matchup so much. I could watch this about 20 more times. And I know that the Chiefs and Bills will look very different likely after the season because of obvious reasons. And you don't know what's going to happen with Andy Reid. You don't know what's going to happen with Travis Kelce. But watching Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, the way that they lead their teams, I want to see that battle over and over again.
I'm with you.
Great TV.
It really is. That's Brooke. I'm Randy, and we are off and running here on 101 ESPN. By the way, Ravens 34, Texans 10 on Saturday. Niners over the Packers 24-21. Blues over the Capitals 3-0 on Saturday. And Saturday's basketball was bad. Florida over Mizzou 79-67. And St. Louis, you got drilled on Friday night too, so they're just things are not going well for them.
No, are you okay, Rocc?
Kind of scuffling. both groups kind of scuffling.
Both 8-10, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's not great right now. But hey,
can only get better.
There's some hopefully there's some JUCO movement on SLU's front, and there's a lot of transfer recruiting movement on Mizzou's front. So the future.
There we go.
There you go.
Coming up, 3 things we loved about the weekend here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. All right, time for 3 things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, why don't you go first?
Number 3.
It was a nice weekend of really just relaxing and staying inside. And I got to do 3 of my favorite things, Randy. 1, sushi. I had sushi this weekend.
Okay, well done.
Then I had Saturday football to watch, Sunday football to watch, and then I decided, and Rocc, this will make you so happy, I decided to get back into a show that I haven't watched in a long time because it's the 25th anniversary. I am starting from the beginning of The Sopranos. So I would watch The Sopranos before I would watch the football games, and then after the football games, I would go back to watching The Sopranos.
Why would that make me happy?
Why not?
Why wouldn't it make Randy happy is all I'm asking. I feel like that could make
I
Randy
don't
happy,
know.
couldn't it?
I figured that you would like that.
Yeah.
And so then all weekend too, we would watch the games, or we would just be sitting around or at home, and David and I would talk to each other in our Italian accents. Is it even Italian, or is it just kind of soprano accent?
I don't like that. I don't like this image I have of you guys just walking
Gabagoo.
around. No.
They said it a lot.
I don't like this. I don't like you guys just walking around talking in the accents to each other in your house.
Anyways, I haven't watched The
This doesn't
Sopranos
hit me right.
in forever. And so starting from the beginning, it was just a good weekend of relaxing and doing that and watching football games.
Who would the NFL's Tony Soprano be? Would it be, like, it got to be Teflon, but he gets stuff done? Is it Jerry Jones?
Ooh.
He doesn't care who he whacks.
Yeah. Lacks empathy.
Yep, and
Yeah.
can put out a hit.
Yeah, but I feel like Tony Soprano, and I know I'm at the very beginning, so don't spoil it for me, guys. But I feel like he actually has some feelings, and he cares a little bit. His character,
And
and
Jerry
what they're
might
trying to.
also. I don't know.
Does he?
Yeah, maybe not.
No.
I'm gonna go with more of a. I'm gonna go with maybe a Rooney or a Mara, because I feel like he's old school. It's been generations of Sopranos in that one thing, and plus, Kate and Rooney Mara look like they could be a dead ringer for Meadow Soprano.
Okay.
So like I feel like it works in my head.
I think the Roonies are too nice. They would never have anybody
fine.
whacked.
What about the Maras?
Yeah,
Either way.
Yeah, we can do that.
It's great. Now I got to work on my Italian
Okay, let's hear it.
accent.
Let's-
No,
let's-
it's
Come on, give us a little so that we can.
Gabagoo.
No.
Gabagoo.
Good job.
I can't do it because
Gabagoo.
if I keep going, then it kind of turns into an Australian accent for whatever reason. And so I was not doing a great job of it, but I promise I'm working on it so I can debut it maybe one day.
Yeah, we'll do updates throughout the time you're watching The Sopranos. Brooke, my number 3 is last night. Well, let me start with this. One of the great athletes in the history of St. Louis sports is Kristen Focal, who was unbelievable. I mean, great basketball player and volleyball player at Stanford. Could have done either at the Olympics. Wound up playing volleyball and was spectacular. 4 state championships in her high school years. And her coach at Stanford, Tara Vanderveer, picked up her 1,203rd victory yesterday. And by all accounts, Tara Vanderveer is just like an exceptionally cool, nice person. She passed Mike Krzyzewski on the all-time wins list for college basketball. And I just think it was so cool to see somebody who's just such a kind, nice person get that sort of accolade in passing Mike Krzyzewski and having it recognized like she did. So
Wow.
that's my number 3.
Nice.
Yeah, good for her.
We should celebrate that. And also, it just always adds to it when you know it's a really good person.
Right, yeah.
As well.
And I've
Which,
never-
I mean, that should go without saying, but sometimes. Sometimes
people that set those kinds of marks don't wind up being the best quality people.
Number 2.
My number 2 is going to be the Blues getting back in the win column. Now, I know it's not much to celebrate because we would like to see a win streak start to develop here, but you got to start somewhere if you're going to develop a win streak. Either way, I'd like to see Jordan Binnington bounce back in that game. His 14th career shutout in that game, too, after giving up 4 goals. Was that the other night prior against the Capitals? So I just at least like to see that. We were talking about who's a player that you want to go. You're going to a Blues game. I want to see this player. To me, it's always Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, he's the Blues' shining star, isn't he?
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. And to see him pick up 18 saves, get the shutout was really cool. Against a team that even though the numbers aren't there, they still have legendary guys.
They do.
So I still think that was cool. Brooke, my number 2 also has to do with the Blues. And we had Mike Liut on the show on Friday morning before the Blues Hall of Fame. Being at the Blues Hall of Fame induction on Friday night was so cool. And I got a chance to go talk to Mike Liut and say, because I'm 18, he's 25. And I'm saying, you're only 7 years older than me, but you're my guy. I'm a kid. I mean, I'm 18 years old. And you were my guy because I loved watching Mike Liut play. It was just so much fun. But another thing, and you do this very well in our profession, it's so cool to be able to forge relationships with people that can do such exceptional things, and to be able to celebrate this thing and see Keith Tkachuk and to see Mike Liut, but then to be around people like Brett Hull, one of my all-time favorites, be around some of the all-time great Blues, see Chris Pronger over there. It was really cool to be at that Hall of Fame induction and then see those guys just being, nobody's better at being funny in themselves than Brett Hull is, but just to be around that group of people that when I was covering the team, was able to forge some relationships with. It was really special.
And the stories.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that conversation so much with Liut that we had the other day. I feel like you could just talk to him all day with just the endless amount of incredible stories that they have.
Right, and I don't want to dismiss how cool it was that Pavel Dimitra's family was in town, and he and Keith Tkachuk were best friends. And so to see Maya, his wife, and his 2 kids in town, and his son was born here in St. Louis, to see them and the emotion associated with Pavel going into the Blues Hall of Fame was really cool.
That's what I was going to say, is what was that emotion like?
Yeah, it was palpable for everybody because he and Walt were such good friends, and Chantel and Maya are such good friends, Keith Tkachuk's wife, and so it was highly emotional.
I heard the stories were so incredible. At one point, he was talking about how Pavel was bragging about being the highest paid player whenever he goes back to his home country, and Walt just goes, "Make me move." He goes, "All I need to do is move over there, then you're second."
Yeah, exactly.
Their playful friendship was so incredible to hear about.
And I'd never heard Walt tell the story about Ladislav Nagy and Michael Hanzus get traded, a couple of fellow Slovaks, and he said, so his 2 best friends on the team get traded for me. He didn't talk to me for 2 weeks after I got here. Pretty funny.
I really like the Blues Hall of Fame. I was kind of honestly surprised. I just assumed that they already had a Hall of Fame because of the franchise history they had. So I'm glad that they have gotten this started because there's so many players. I mean, we've gone through the list before of who should get in. It's like, I mean, how do you even pick from these guys? But I especially like the Blue Jackets, and then they have the memories on the inside.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And congratulations to former character intern Mike Caruso, Blues Vice President. And Chris Zimmerman and the whole crew over there, they do an absolutely magnificent job.
Number 1.
My number 1 is going to be the game last night. Randy, I was saying it earlier, I cannot get enough of the drama, of the theater, everything that is Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I want to see that so many times because it was so exciting. I don't have any interest in either team. You guys know I'm a Titans fan, so it's weird that I would even be this interested, but I like to see 2 quarterbacks, what they're doing right now. It's just a never-ending story. All the theatrics of it throughout the game, too. It was a great game, back and forth. You knew it was going to come down to one final moment, and that's exactly what happened there. But then seeing Jason Kelce shirtless in that suite with Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes, if you would have shown me that photo or that video last year, I'd say, what in the world is going on here? Right. What is happening? And I know that both of these teams will look very different next season, but either way, we're still going to have this great matchup between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I believe for a while, it's must-watch TV, just like The Sopranos.
And Brooke, you use such a great word in theatrics because it is theater. Every time they play, go back to the Kadarius Toney offsides, and what an epic game that was. The great play and how Buffalo won that, and obviously 13 seconds. We all know what 13 seconds are. Every time Kansas City and Buffalo play, it's great theater.
I love it. It's
pretty awesome. And my number 1, Brooke, you've been working out a lot. You've been on the Stairmaster a lot, right? Lately, you work out, and I've been trying to get cardio in as well. I went to the Y yesterday and got some cardio in. My highlight for the weekend is getting my workout in this morning. morning at 5:45.
That was it? That's going to be your workout.
Yeah.
No Stairmaster for you today.
No, I did more. I did more already.
You like the Stairmaster now, though, don't you?
I do like, yeah. I'm a Stairmaster guy. I like it because I sweat more on the Stairmaster than any other cardio machine.
It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. I don't know. I sweat more on that too than on the treadmill or anything else. I feel like I'm accomplishing something on the Stairmaster besides pain.
But the pain is there too. You're accomplishing that.
Yes, of course.
But here's the thing. I believe, and I've been told, that when you sweat, you're actually you're sweating toxins out of your body.
Oh, yeah.
And so if we're eliminating toxins, I don't care how we do it. Even if we aren't really doing it, if we're just thinking I think I'm doing it, I'm good. Mm-hmm. I'm fine. So that's what we love about the weekend.
I'm doing.
I just thought of something.
Okay.
Yes, and you were recently from the TV world.
Uh-huh.
On a morning like this, shouldn't morning shows be outside?
Oh, don't say that out loud, Randy. Don't do that to my former colleagues. I see Maurice Drummond on the TV right now. Don't put that out there. He's going to have to go out on the road. I can tell you that days like this, I can't speak for all the meteorologists in the area, but Steve Templeton does such a great job. That man literally will stay at the station all night long through the morning. I don't think that he's there this morning, but Leah does a great job as well. And he puts in so much work and effort. And then they always have the reporters that go out there too into the elements telling you not to come out. This isn't just a KMOV thing. This is TV stations in general where they tell you don't come outside, but then they're outside.
Right, exactly.
So you want to throw everybody outside, Randy. Just put a news desk out there. You just want to see them do what you had to do this morning, don't you?
Yeah. That's basically what I'm saying. No doubt about it. That's Brooke, I'm Randy, and that's three things we loved about the weekend. Coming up, what a weekend in the National Football League. 4 downs from the NFL next on 101 ESPN. Hey, folks, Together Credit Union, who is CDSC's official banking partner, is offering you a safe and reliable way to grow your hard-earned money. It's a certificate of deposit, or a CD, and it's an attractive investment for new and experienced investors. Because of the return on your investment, it's fixed and it's guaranteed. Right now, Together Credit Union is offering 2 fantastic CD promotions. Your first CD rate option is an 11-month CD term with a 5.40 annual percentage yield. How about that? 5.40 annual percentage yield for an 11-month CD. Your second CD option is a 19-month CD with a 5% annual percentage yield, 5.00. Now, both options require a minimum balance of $1,000, but both are are guaranteed return. So you get the 5.40 on the 11-month or the 5.00 on the 19-month CD. Go to your nearest Together Credit Union branch or visit togethercu.org today to learn more about their CD options.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Your AFC and NFC championship games are set in the NFL after a wild divisional weekend. On Saturday, it was the Ravens over the Texans 34-10, and the 49ers outlasting the Packers 24-21. And on Sunday, the Bills could not beat the Chiefs 27-24, the final score there, and Lions and Buccaneers, Lions 31 over the Buccaneers 23. Blues over the weekend, it was a good game for them as they pull off a 3-0 win over the Capitals. You hear more Blues talk coming up on the opening drive with Brooke and Randy as Chris Kerber joins the show at 8:15. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Brooke and Randy, and 4 downs from this weekend in the National Football League.
First down.
Brooke, this is the time of year where defense really does come into play. And as great as Kansas City was in the second half last night, and Buffalo was really good in the second half too, nothing like what the Baltimore Ravens did to the Houston Texans. In Houston, we all talked about how great C.J. Stroud and that Houston offense was. Well, in the second half on Saturday, the Houston Texans were shut out. They had 68 second-half yards, 44 through the air for C.J. Stroud. Mike McDonald and that defense buckled down, and they shut the Texans down. And that's the big concern for Kansas City next week. It's not necessarily Lamar Jackson. What you're trying to do is contain him. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. But the key for Baltimore is always going to be their defense. And with as much as that Kansas City offense has struggled this year, I wonder how they're going to do against a Ravens defense that has really stepped up their game. And the worst thing that could happen for the Chiefs this coming weekend is for Marlon Humphrey, their best cornerback in Baltimore, to get healthy. But, man, 213 yards allowed on the game for the Ravens, 175 total passing yards allowed to the Texans. And, again, 68 total yards, 44 passing yards in the second half, and most importantly, 0 points. 10-10 game at halftime, winds up 34-10 at the end.
Well, and you can't forget about the other difference maker on the other side of the ball with Lamar Jackson, what he was able to do. Because when I was talking about earlier about narratives being squashed this weekend, we talked about Patrick Mahomes and, playing on the road in a playoff game. But also Lamar Jackson, that narrative was still hanging over his head of just one playoff win in his career. And the way that he was able to really orchestrate mounting that comeback, especially after halftime, he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And by the way, they only allowed the 3 points on defense. But one thing about Lamar, there's an old line that I used to use all the time. Ken Stabler said it. He said, I've never seen an old running quarterback. I don't think Lamar has to be a running quarterback anymore. Now, does it help? Does he score a couple of rushing touchdowns? Yes. But I believe that he can throw with anybody, and his mobility within the pocket really is all he needs. He can really wing it now.
Yeah, and for the Texans, too, just want to say this was a fantastic season for them. I don't think anybody was expecting this result. I'm still so excited about C.J. Stroud. I think the biggest difference maker, and I don't know if you feel about this too with the Texans, is they just really had a lack of a running game.
Yep. And they have a pretty good offensive line. I think Devin Singletary, he couldn't do it in Buffalo. He's a nice complementary back, but he's not a guy to lean on. And I think that'd be a good place for the Texans to start. I believe they traded their first-round pick to Arizona to get Will Anderson last year in the draft. So they might not have a number one, but you can always get a running back in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round. But they do need a stud running back there. They could really use Cody Schrader.
Ooh. I like that idea. My second down is going to be the Lions advancing to their first NFC championship since 1991. Congrats to the Lions. I've been saying this is one of the most exciting teams. I really love their grittiness and also the flash and pizzazz that they have. You like that? Pizzazz?
Pizzazz, yeah, they got
There you
it.
go. That sounds like something off of Sopranos. But I really like Dan Campbell a lot, too, and I've been saying that all season. I think the identity of this group and of Dan Campbell's toughness was on display, Randy, in that 3rd quarter. Remember, down around the goal line. The game was tied at 10, 4th down, and Dan Campbell decides to go for it with his 3rd back, Craig Reynolds. I think that is a display, and he did that. They ran the ball down their throats, and to me, that's saying playing my man is better than your man football.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think that really displays the toughness that you've seen this season from Dan Campbell and the belief that he has built up with his players, that you can see that they know, okay, if he's putting me in this situation, I'm going to make sure that I make it work. But then also this rookie group that they have had this season and getting the most out of them. Of course, we know Sam Laporta, what he's been able to do. He's emerged as one of the league's best young tight ends out there. But then Jahmyr Gibbs, what he's been able to do, and then he's not a rookie, but still talking about Montgomery, that combination, that was a huge difference in the second half. Them really rushing the ball and establishing that is what made the difference in the game to me. But I just love that moment by Dan Campbell where I felt like that was an identity moment for them where, once again, you're showing my guys are better than your guys.
So much of the sport is chemistry as well, right? And you talked about how he's fostered just an esprit de corps with the Lions that we don't see a lot these days in pro sports. It's really hard to get people to be a family. And these players talk about it. It appears that they really like and are willing to sacrifice for each other.
They are, yeah. I feel like this team just feels really different and dangerous because you're getting the most out of those rookies. So if they continue to play at this level, then I think that says a lot about them.
3rd down.
Well, Brooke, we have several Buffalo Bills fans, hardcore Buffalo Bills fans in our building, most notably Donnie Fandango, who's on the Last Minute Blues podcast. And I hate to say this to them, but last night, the window of opportunity for this iteration of the Buffalo Bills closed. Next year, Josh Allen's cap number goes from $27 million to $47 million. Stephon Diggs goes from $17 million to $27.8 million. Von Miller's cap number goes up to $23.7 million. 2 of their offensive linemen, Dawkins goes up to 16.6. Mitch Morse goes up to 11.4. You just can't keep everybody. And unfortunately, and by the way, their 2 safeties, Poyer and Hyde, you can't bring them back because of age and salary. They're going to have to start drafting like Kansas City does in Baltimore, and they're going to have to replace people. Think about Kansas City losing Tyreek Hill and losing Tyrann Mathieu and losing Eric Fisher and losing Orlando Brown this year and still being in the AFC Championship game. And Buffalo's going to have to start hitting on draft choices late in the first round, but every single draft choice if they want to keep going. They're always going to have a chance with Josh Allen, but the Super Bowl window of opportunity for this group closed last night.
It did. And Diggs is gone. I think we all realize that, right?
Yeah. Which is a shame because he's their second most important player, I would argue. Now, maybe James Cook has become their second most, but for most of the last 3 or 4 years, Diggs has been, aside from Allen, their most important guy.
It'll be interesting to see what they do.
What's
4th down.
4th down.
Fourth down.
Yeah, this is the fourth down. I'm glad that we're entertaining you, Rocc. You remember where we're at. I'm just giving you some crap. I'm just kidding. Anyways, Randy, I'm going to steal a saying from you because I think it's the best way to describe what happened with the 49ers this past weekend. Don't tell me about the labor, just show me the baby. And the baby is winning that game for the 49ers. Was it the prettiest of games? No, because you also lost Deebo Samuel in that game. But some of the biggest questions surrounding Brock Purdy and the 49ers this weekend, I believe, were answered in this game. Can they come from behind? They did that, Randy. And by the way, this is an interesting stat. Kyle Shanahan was 0 for 30 in his head coaching career when his team trailed by 7+ points entering the fourth quarter. That doesn't seem like a real stat.
I wonder how many losses he has in his career. That might be all of his losses.
It really might be. Also, another question answered. Can they play without Deebo Samuel? They had to in that game because he got injured in the first quarter. Can they mount a game-winning drive when they need it? And Brock Purdy and the 49ers were able to do that. Now, I do completely understand that he has a ton of weapons around him. You can talk about Kittle and Ayuk and what they were able to do in the game. Even Juwan Jennings had a great, huge moment there. McCaffrey is McCaffrey. He was your workhorse per usual. Jake Moody had a clutch 52-yard field goal. And I know that Drake Greenlaw had that game-sealing interception. But at the end of the day, the result led to the 49ers winning. Now, can Brock Purdy throw in the rain? I think that that's a fair question.
How about him being able to, as he's preparing to throw, actually draw during a play?
Yeah.
He hits the towel with his hand and then puts his hand back on the football to throw it.
Yeah, I don't. What can you do about that? During practice, you just drench the football with the water constantly just to get him prepared for that.
Yeah, right.
Supposedly, it's going to be sunny, so for the next game, so he should be fine. But there was definitely some moments that were bad, especially that first drive. Did you see that, Randy? The first drive that should have been a pick six, but the Packers dropped it. It worked
and he had
out
his glove
for them.
on that one.
So what do you think? Was it luck or was this the 49ers doing what they needed to do in this game?
I think they did what they needed to do. They're so good, and they have been now for 5 years. I don't think it's luck when they win. And you need breaks to go your way if you're going to be a championship club. Every championship club needs breaks to go their way. And sometimes when you're good, that sort of stuff just happens. And by the way, it's happened for the Packers a lot over the years too. But if you're... You got to catch the ball. You got to get the pick, and they didn't. So
I just find it interesting that people are still finding a way to really, poke holes with Brock Purdy. Was it a good game? No. It's probably one of not his best of a season, but at the end of the day, if you're able to do what he was able to do there at the end and still get your team in a position to win, is that not what matters? What you do in clutch moments. The greatest quarterbacks that you think about, the first thing you think about is not their numbers. You think about those clutch moments that they were able to lead their team to a win.
And Brooke, let's look at it from this perspective. As great as that talent is, especially the wideouts for San Francisco. And let's keep in mind that Deebo wasn't there. Didn't Tampa Bay have great talent yesterday?
Yes.
And what did Baker Mayfield do? Would Baker Mayfield...
Shaky bakey.
There you go. Would Baker Mayfield do what Brock Purdy's doing? I don't think so. There's a reason that some guys are playing in championship games and some guys aren't. And when you protect the football, and if I'm not mistaken, he's undefeated. Purdy is when he doesn't throw a pick.
Yes, which is a crazy stat in itself.
It is. But if you protect the football and you're a quarterback and then you get it into the hands of your talented people, you're going to succeed. And he does that. And by the way, he makes some unbelievable throws.
Yeah.
He makes throws that other people, just mediocre quarterbacks, don't make. He's making throws that Mahomes and Lamar and Josh Allen make. He's dropping dimes.
So don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah. By the way, Kyle Shanahan, 51 losses in his career. So, but the 30 of those before.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Now that has to be just bad luck at that point, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
it's
you
just
got to
a
come
mental
back.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
when the Greatest Show on Turf was going on, people used to complain about that Kurt Warner never brought the team back in the fourth quarter. That's because they were always up by 20 in the fourth quarter.
Oh, you got to kind of look at the fine print of that stat, huh?
Exactly, no doubt. That's Brooke, I'm Randy, and that's 4 Downs from the NFL. Coming up, we aren't getting here. We want a traffic report?
Oh, yes.
Let's get the jet copter up there. There's a truck. There's a truck on Olive going westbound. There's a truck. And there's a truck with salt and a plow. Folks, not not much going on Olive Boulevard.
No.
Not much going on the highway. Certainly not much going on my street. I'll tell you what, there's a cab that's stuck, but that's about it. And maybe a guy walking up and slipping and sliding. No, he's already done his.
He's already done that.
And there's another car on Olive, but not much out there. But you know what? You can still text in. You can still check in with us. I'm Captain Randy Carricker on 101 ESPN Jet Copter 2.
Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like if you can get to like a main road, life isn't the worst thing out there.
No.
But the question, I believe, is can you get to the main road?
And I had no chance this morning.
Yeah.
If I would have driven, I would not be here.
That's why you heard that shriek in U City at like 6:30 this morning.
Did you give us an eek?
Yeah, it was pretty much that.
Good. Hey, thanks for being with us, Matthew. Let's see. We've got Tioli coming up. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. Tioli next on 101 ESPN.
Time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Grimsey, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. It is the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and your second alert weather. It is icy outside.
Second alert.
We don't need it first. We just need it right.
There you go. Yeah, second alert. I like that as well. We should go out to a live report to see what it's like on the roads.
Oh, you want to do that again?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, we don't even need the jet copter.
Do you want me to just intro it to you so you can describe why people shouldn't go out on the roads and what they need today? We go live over to Randy Carricker over on Olive Boulevard. Randy, how is it out there today?
Whoa. Whoa, Brooke! Brooke, I just fell.
That would be great TV, honestly. The ratings would go through the roof.
They would. Somebody slipping. Man, if there were video on me this morning.
Oh man,
I actually did laugh a little bit.
I actually do have a Ring camera. I probably could get video of me shrieking this morning. I was freaking out. It was not great.
All right, Brooke. So you mentioned earlier, Sean Desai has been fired as the defensive coordinator. He'd already been demoted as defensive coordinator of the Eagles. And word that Matt Patricia, their nominal defensive coordinator after the demotion of Sean Desai, is exploring other options. Take it or leave it. Other options mean working for Bill Belichick somewhere.
I'm going to take that. I think that he is ready to get out of there. Seems like there's a lot of stuff that was going on with the Eagles. Now that you see everything that comes out, you mentioned Sean Desai, but then apparently Jalen Hurts and Johnson didn't get along or see eye to eye on things. It's now that you're having all this come out, it makes a lot of sense about why it really felt like they weren't playing for each other towards the end there. You could tell there was a lot of tension happening.
Yeah, and there was questions about the leadership of Jalen Hurts, and he might have to change his MO in terms of leading. It's a lot easier to lead when you're winning, but you need to lead people out of the depths when things are not going well, and people were really questioning his leadership ability. And there are some really good young defensive minds out there that kind of fit what the Eagles are. So I would think that Sirianni and Lurie and Roseman can come up with a good answer to fix their defense. Yeah,
it just didn't look like. And when you're talking about Jalen Hurts, I think that one of his benefits, we always have this discussion of what you would want in a player. Do you want somebody who is not that he's not still passionate, because of course he has to be to play at that level, but he's so even-keeled that it's a good thing when you're in tough situations. But sometimes there's situations that call for having that where you have that extreme high or low to really drive the most out of your teammate.
Just think about last night. And we could argue, and we can go back and forth on this, but if you're naming the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, arguably Mahomes and Allen are there, right?
Yes.
Those guys are supporting their teammates as quarterbacks. When Josh Allen throws a touchdown pass to Tupac Shakur, he's running down and giving him a big giant hug. Mahomes is engaged with his team. Patrick Mahomes goes over to, he's not sitting on the bench, he's going over to his defense and says, hey, you get to stop here and we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
I just think that the quarterback needs to be the leader of the whole team. And to me, and maybe I'm wrong because we don't see the bench all the time, but every time I see Jalen Hurts, he's frowning on the bench. And when I see him throw a touchdown pass, he's just walking right back to the sideline. He's not being
he's not energetic.
He's not a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe he just needs to have a little bit more of that.
Yeah, just a tad bit more.
Yeah.
So take it or leave it, kind of talking about the culture of a locker room or clubhouse. After everything that you heard from John Mozeliak and Matt Carpenter this weekend, take it or leave it, there was some issues that even more so than we thought last season with the Cardinals clubhouse, because they are really emphasizing clubhouse culture this offseason. That has been the big theme this offseason. Lance Lynn, they talked about that. They talked about that with Kyle Gibson. They talked about that now with Matt Carpenter. They talked about that with Sonny Gray, which is also very important. I understand the importance of that, but then it makes you think, what was going on in the clubhouse last season outside of the stuff that we knew?
Well, and Brooke, think about what Ali said publicly on the record. He said, we need to get rid of those people that are only concerned about themselves. And that tells me that they need more team guys. And especially when you're older, I would think that you have more cachet with young players who are going to look up and maybe play more of a team style of game rather than worrying only about yourself, worrying about your save situation or worrying about your hamstring or whatever your injury might be. Maybe you're more concerned with just winning baseball games and sacrificing for your teammates.
So you take it, right?
Yes.
That there's something else going on.
I'm going to take it that there was there's something there last year.
There was veterans there last year, Randy.
But Mo brought up, and we're going to talk about this in our next segment.
Of course,
he did say that maybe there was just too much on the plate of one guy. He didn't even mention 2 guys. He just maybe too much on the plate of Paul Goldschmidt. So I'm totally going to take it. All right, Matthew, what do you got on the text line there? Are not because people aren't on the road and maybe not texting and driving. Is the number of texts down today?
Actually, it's about the same.
Okay,
really.
okay.
I think there's a combination of people maybe still sleeping and a lot of people having their phones out instead of being on the road. So I think it's balancing out. Take it or leave it. If the Bills would fire McDermott, that would be the most attractive job in the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh,
Take it.
Yeah.
Because you've got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, greater than Justin Herbert.
Do you think that they would fire him?
I can't imagine that they would. No, that one doesn't go on him, and he's so invested. Did you see his press conference last night? He had clearly been crying before he went in to talk to the media.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't. That game's not on him. You're playing the Chiefs, and you lost by 3, and your kicker missed a field goal with a minute left. That wasn't a coaching issue last night. They didn't get out coached.
No.
Take it or leave it. The next Super Bowl winning team out of the state of Texas are the Texans.
Take it.
Ooh.
Yeah, unless can I be mean this morning?
Yes.
Yeah, do it.
Unless Jerry Jones dies.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
No.
That's our fault.
But as you mentioned, Brooke,
Yes.
even though he might not be with us, he'll still be with us.
He always will be because of AI Jerry Jones. I think it's very purposeful that he has launched AI Jerry Jones so he can go around and continue to do what he wants to do. Can you imagine, Randy, just for a second here, can you imagine I don't know, I'm not trying to pick a specific date for his death, but let's just say 2030 or something like that. He's passed away, but still, here comes AI Jerry Jones rolled out for a press conference about how he's talking about how he's disappointed that they got knocked out of the playoffs again.
I'm floored by that. I would love to see it.
Because you have to, right?
Yeah, right. And
in his memory.
You're right. Yeah. R.I.P. Thoughts and prayers. You know what's really interesting though is that real Jerry and AI Jerry both are missing hearts. They
can't put that in the AI.
No, you can't. And they clearly didn't put one in this one either. the real, quote unquote, real one.
Take it or leave it. When you take out guys like Jack Flaherty and Tyler O'Neill and adding guys like Carpenter, you get a better locker room.
Well, yeah,
that's a toughie.
I would say O'Neill. Jack Flaherty's teammates like him.
They do. They really do.
Now, there are some guys that aren't there anymore that I don't think that they were disliked by their teammates, but I don't think they were the best people for the team. Let me put it that way.
Name them.
Jordan Hicks. And Hicksy is...
I'm living for this morning.
Yeah. Hicksy is exceptionally talented. But you saw his numbers, right, over the years.
Yes.
And he's a really good guy, but he wanted to, and Kerry mentioned this all the time, he wanted to be a closer or a starter. And he really didn't appear to be as much about the team as he was about Jordan.
No. I definitely agree with you. And I think that there is a lot of circumstances. And I know that people will say, okay, well, Jack Flaherty, he even admitted in that interview recently that he felt like he was the reason why. I'm going to be really honest. It shouldn't have gotten to that point where you had to get on a couch with Adam Wainwright, Ollie Marmol, and Wilson Contreras to solve this. It shouldn't have gotten to that point.
No.
And there was also bigger issues there.
And that's management and communication. That's management 101 is making sure that the message is the same for everybody. And especially when you're in a front-facing public business, you need to make that message clear to your customers, us, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is that we heard going into this Blues season that getting rid of certain players and it's a better locker room overall, and that equates to a 500 hockey team because the talent level isn't there. How much does the locker room matter if the talent level just isn't there?
If the talent isn't
That's
there.
my thing.
The thing is, though, bad chemistry can mess up a talented group.
It can.
Okay,
well, look at the Padres last season. There was a lot of stars on that team, but the chemistry, remember all the reports about how bad the chemistry is? With that lineup, they should have been way better than they were.
No doubt about it. That's a great comp. And then conversely, you can have the sweetest group of guys in the world, but if they aren't talented, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. If we just had heated rose, this morning wouldn't have been a problem.
Rocc, did you text this in?
I did not.
You did text this in.
I did not text it in. It's on the text line. I love
Let's
it when
double check to see if it's your phone number.
Continuity across shows like this.
And Matthew, here let's look at this from a broader perspective. Isn't every time we have like a politician say, okay, we need to improve the economy, don't they always talk about infrastructure and roads and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So why not? You could employ a ton of people. building, making, manufacturing, and installing heated roads.
Well, we got to figure out the pothole situation first. If we can at least have a department for the potholes, then I'm all for it.
Potholes are a result of the road expanding because it's cold.
Oh, but then water also causes it, and the normal erosion.
But if your roads are heated, you don't have to worry about that water as much because it just flows off.
I like that idea.
So
we should make this happen. This is why we should be in politics, Randy and Rocc.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
We definitely should. Yeah, they would love me. Matthew, thank you very much. You got one more that you love?
I do. I really like this one. Take it or leave it. Schilt's emphasis on the little things is what San Diego needs to get over the hump.
I'm going to take that now. Losing Juan Soto doesn't help.
No.
But, yes, they will be. And Bob Melvin, he's a good manager, too. So he just couldn't get things going there. But I think Mike Schilt's touch and his communicative abilities, ball talk with his players, I think will benefit the Padres substantially. Now, when you lose, they lost 3 starting pitchers or 4. They lost Nick Martinez, they lost Snell, they lost Waka, lost somebody else, I think. So they aren't going to be as talented as they were last year, but fundamentally, I think they'll be more solid in San Diego.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to have to take it, too. I think what that texter said is exactly right. The little details is what made the huge difference for the Cardinals and Schilt during his time there.
Definitely. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, Matt Carpenter is back, baby. We want to hear from you. You can leave us a mic drop with your 101 ESPN app. Give us your take on Marp being back, and we'll also take your text, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. We're going to give you our opinions. Might surprise you. Next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club so much. This year, I set 2 really big goals for myself. I want to get back into tennis. That's a sport that I've played my entire life, and I love it so much, but it's been hard to find a group of people to play with. And I also want to get in shape for my big wedding day coming up in June. And thanks to everyone at the Missouri Athletic Club, I'm already off to a really great start. Last week, I started back into tennis, and it was just great to get back out there on the court with Scott. And then I've also started my personal training journey with Christine. She's been so helpful and has even given me a lot of nutrition advice and has even talked to me a lot about my sleep. So I just feel like I'm really off to a great start to my 2024 goals. They always provide a wonderful experience, and that's why I love the Missouri Athletic Club so much.
Fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Well, when you look at our everyday club and you have Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado and you know, again, referencing back to the Pujols Molina comments earlier, I feel like last year, those 2 guys were kind of left with having to pick up a lion's share of this. Well, they were. And just having that being able to spread out was something that I think was important. And so, you know, as we were looking at who this type of person could be, you know, Carp understands exactly the Cardinal way of doing things and what he was brought up with, but he also understands, you know, the group of players we have.
This Cardinals Pobo, John Mozeliak Friday on the heels of the Cardinals signing Marp, Matt Carpenter, to a 1-year contract to, as Mo just suggested there, add some leadership ability to the squad.
That's important, Randy. It's very important. Now, here's the thing. My first initial reaction when I saw the news was I had to double check the calendar, first off, because I thought that maybe during a nap I traveled back in time
10 years,
a wee
maybe?
bit. Yeah.
2014?
Just traveled back in time a wee bit. So I was surprised, and I think everybody was initially at first. But then after that, I wasn't surprised because, Randy, that's been the theme of this offseason, but also what the Cardinals do in the past. When he mentioned Albert Pujols, when he mentioned, I mean, we got Adam Wainwright, his final ride. It's what the Cardinals do. So then it's not as shocking when you think about it in that regard.
So, Brooke, let me tell you, when I first saw the email, I thought, oh, he's going to sign a 1-day contract with the Cardinals and retire. Did you think that?
I did.
And
I
then
really
put it
did.
put it on Twitter. This is real. Because then the other thing I thought was, I'm being trolled here. That
somebody just sent you specifically a fake email.
Yeah. So I had to put it on. I double checked, and so I put it on social media that it was real. And then, Brooke, as you know, I have been whining about the middle class of baseball being priced out. And I've been talking about how a team can get themselves a distinct advantage by having a guy that can come off the bench and provide them a professional at bat. So I'm trying to find a way. I'm trying everything I can to defend this, okay? To say, okay, here's why the Cardinals did it. Here's why this is worthwhile. Then I unfortunately go to Baseball Reference. Mm-hmm. Matt Carpenter in his career as a pinch hitter is 26 for 147. That's a 177 batting average. 5 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Okay? A 685 OPS as a pinch hitter in his career. Last year, Brooke, Matt Carpenter's batting average in 13 at-bats with the Padres, 0. Yeah, he was 0 for 13. He had a 235 on base, a 235 OPS as a pinch hitter. So can I say to the legions of Cardinal fans that are tuned into the opening drive that this is a guy that you can count on for a professional bat off the bench? No, not at this stage of his career. So what Mo said, if this is the approach, this guy better be Gandhi, right? He better be like the greatest leader of all time. He better be able to walk on water and lead these guys, through whatever. He better be like I don't know who the greatest leader in the history of sports is. Mark Messier. He better be the Mark Messier of baseball. If that's what he was signed for as the 26th hitter. And by the way, hopefully he'll 26-week season, 26 at-bats. Hopefully that's about it. If everybody stays healthy, then his leadership should step to the fore. Problem is, when the Cardinals had Tom Lawless in 1987, if you don't play, how can you lead? Mm-hmm. Right? It's hard. So I just don't get it. And I like Matt Carpenter. He's one of the nicest people you could ever run across, and he does have leadership ability. My question is, if he's not playing, how can he be a leader? And sure, he knows the players, but do the players know him? Does Jordan Walker really know Matt Carpenter? Does Mason Wynn know Matt Carpenter? Does Brendan Donovan know Matt Carpenter? I don't know how many of the Cardinal players really look at him and say, man, there's a guy that's a guy that we should follow. I hope that they look at him that way, but I don't know why they would.
So you're saying that we're not going to get even the Bronx, I'm trying to think of most recent, Bronx version of Marp, where he hit, 15 home runs in 57 games and hit 305. We're not going to get that version of him, Randy?
He hit those in like the easiest ballpark to hit home runs in. This is one of the most
what
difficult.
About his walk rate last year, Randy? 17.3%.
He has a good eye, and maybe the lack of the shift will allow him to come back to Busch Stadium and be a representative hitter. But here's the thing. If everybody's healthy, when and where are you going to play him? Is he ever going to DH in place of Nolan Gorman? To me, if Nolan Gorman isn't your DH against right-handers, he doesn't hit against left-handers. I don't think you put him there. I'm not so sure that you can play him at third or first anymore. Maybe he fills in at second for Donovan sometimes. But again, left-hander, right-hander, I don't know. And I hope it works out. And again, I look at this. Hopefully he's a guy that only gets 26 to 50 at-bats.
Well, and that's what Mo said.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that it's not about the numbers. They made that very clear. It's not about the numbers. It's his presence that he will bring to the clubhouse.
Well, then why isn't he a coach?
That's a great question. He'll be a player coach. You're just paying him the league minimum.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
But here's the other part of this that I think is very interesting, because they really emphasize the culture. And we talked about that the veteran presence, that has been the theme this offseason. And this is what Mo had to say about the players who wanted him here.
Yeah, so my relationship with those guys is always to, understand what they're thinking, what they're hearing. And so that was part of it. Also talking with Ollie was part of that. And, when you have people that are advocating for you to be on this club, that's helpful. And I do think a lot of what they were telling me makes a lot of sense in trying to address it. So, I'm hoping it works, and I'm hoping he can be successful both in the clubhouse and on the field.
So he's talking about Paul Goldschmidt. And he goes on to further explain that Paul Goldschmidt, he felt like, was taking the weight of a lot of that vocal leadership last season. It's interesting that he also mentions later on that Nolan Arenado, this is something that Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado wanted, including Oliver Marmol as well. What does that tell you about the state of the clubhouse?
Well, he did say, Mo, that there was too much of the leadership role that was placed on the shoulders of Paul Goldschmidt. And that might be, and maybe Marp can handle that. But clearly, Marp can handle some of that. He's a veteran guy. He's been around the block, and he knows the game, and he's, like I said, a really good guy, and teammates love him. Great teammate. I mean, a fantastic teammate. The other part of this is we saw Nolan Gorman regress last year. I think Nolan Gorman might be a follower, and I think you might need to have a guy in that room. And Gorman and Marp are tight. They vacationed together. They were tight before Arenado came here. They might just need a guy to pacify Nolan Arenado. Did I say Gorman? I meant Arenado.
Yes.
Nolan Arenado might not be a leader. I'm not sure.
I think he's more lead by example, just based off of just what I can see, just what I have observed. He is more lead by example. And I think he's also very hard on himself. We heard that a lot last season about how he definitely, you could see it. He was beating himself up for his own personal performance because I think he truly believes that if he's not doing well, then the team won't do well.
And he might need a blankie.
Randy.
Look at it logically. He opted in last year. He looked miserable at times.
He really did. Yeah.
He didn't perform very well. So, and to his standards, I mean, he was the best Cardinal, but to his standards, he did not perform very well. And there's a lot of guys out there that just need something to comfort them as they go through a 6-month season. And this might be what they needed for Nolan Arenado.
Doesn't winning cure a lot of this stuff
everything.
too? So
winning solves everything.
Doesn't having maybe some more bullpen help? That could lead to more winning, which you wouldn't have to worry about maybe a lot of this other stuff. I know that the bullpen doesn't solve everything, but we definitely saw where it cost them a lot of games last season.
And I guarantee you Marp isn't making money.
He's not. He's making the league minimum.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a no-risk situation for the 26-man.
Yeah, and anything they have in the budget, they can still go out. This is not going to affect their ability to go get a reliever. So this could work out really well for the Cardinals. And I'm not saying from a baseball standpoint on the field, but from a personality standpoint because of the people that you brought up. Lance Lynn is a really good guy for young starting pitchers to watch. Kyle Gibson is a consummate professional and a great guy, taking over as president of Big League Impact. Sonny Gray works really hard. He's already taken a leadership role with the people down in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Taking them to the gym and stuff. And you add a guy like Matt Carpenter, who rebuilt his swing and resurrected his career by spending an offseason working hard. It could work out really well if people are willing to observe. If young players are willing to observe the players that the Cardinals have brought in, this could work out really well.
It could. Or it could just really turn into nothing.
And if you have to play him, hopefully, here's my thing. Hopefully, if there's an injury and you need a left-handed hitter, it's still Alec Burleson rather than Marp. Because I think Marp, in terms of being a productive, everyday MLB player, I think those days are past.
I agree.
That's Brooke. I'm Randy, and that's today's Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this coming up at 9:15. We'd love to hear your mic drops and your take on the Cardinals reacquiring Matt Carpenter. But coming up next, Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Chris Kerber with you here. And look, here's the certain realities with the cold weather. Your furnace is going to break down. Something is going to happen. Maybe it's not blowing properly. Maybe you're getting some heat, but not what you need. Who knows what the issue may be? But we know that those are a reality. And when that does happen, you need to call the people at Comfort Air Care. This is really as simple as you're calling people that know what you're going through. They know the frustration of the moment for you. They understand the urgency of the moment. They know that you want to get the heat going back in your house as quickly as they can. If there's a bigger issue and you need a furnace replacement, they know how quickly you're going to want that done and how important it is to the comfort of you and your family and the safety of you and your family as well, which is one of the reasons why it's still important to get these things maintained every year and checked just for the safety of your home. But you call the folks at Comfort Air Care, they will take care of everything for you. They will handle things right. And folks, when you go and you hit the website and you check on their 4.8 Google rating, you know that they're coming straight to your house. You know that they're coming ready to go, and you know that you have people you can rely on. So go to classicaircare.com and check out their website today.
Time for KerbSide with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Rocc Roll, Randy Carricker, opening drive, 101 ESPN, and standing by is your voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber, who, along with John Kelly, did a sensational job at the Blues Hall of Fame induction on Friday night over at the MAC. Kerbs, good morning, congratulations, and what a fun night that was.
Yeah, Randy, it really was a great night, and, you know, it was so different from last year. Last year we had, of course, so many people because we obviously inducting all the retired numbers, and then you had Scotty Bowman and Red Berenson and Gary Unger and the Solomons and company. Like there were so many that it was such a jammed event with stories and people and an amazing history. This one was I think even better just because with the three going in, we really got to get into some details with Mike Liute and Keith Tkachuk, and to hear some great stories about Pavel Demitra. So a real special. And by the way, that Blues fan that came up from Lake of the Ozarks to deliver the jersey to Pavel Demitra's family from his 2002 All-Star game. I saw that story and I just couldn't believe it. Like I love St. Louis sports fans. I love Midwest values, and I thought, like, take all the greatness of the Hall of Fame weekend that we had, that story might have topped it all.
Yeah, that was fantastic, and the Blues have it up on their social medias if you want to take a look. The fan presenting the jersey to Pavel's widow, Maya. Kerbs, I also thought, and you're a pro, I've always thought of you as a pro, but when you can just turn things over to Brett Hull and let him be the MC, I think that's a great play.
You know what? It's sometimes you go, Brett, take it away. But, you know, like, man, there's just so much greatness with that man. Like, he just, you know, I've said this. Can you imagine being so good at what you do and what you did, right, that you just said whatever came to mind and you didn't worry about it? And this is before the days of getting canceled and all that other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and you didn't care. And you just said it. Why? Because you backed it up everywhere you go. And when he sits up there and when you have Brett Hull at a Blues event, he still loves this organization. as much as any organization he played for. He still has immense pride in it. He is a major reason that youth hockey and all the rinks are around town the way they are, and that legacy is important. But man, is he larger than life and just brings out the best in people.
And Kerbs, one other thing, and congratulations to the family of Pavel Demitra and to Keith Tkachuk and to Mike Liut. But I had a great conversation with Mike Liut, and I never really put it in this perspective because he's 68 now, I'm 61. And I was telling him, I said, you were 25 and I was 18 and you were my guy. I said, I revered you, and I still do, by the way, because as a youngster, I just loved him. But isn't it weird how we can be so close in age, and because they're athletes, we look at them as bigger and maybe even older than they are.
Oh yeah, because you're looking up to them, the whole time, and it's just awesome. And for Bernie Federko, the way he described him is basically, obviously, one of the best goalies of the '80s, and the story that he told about getting called by Glenn Sader saying, "Do you want to come to Edmonton?" And he said, "Well, I think the Blues are going to reclaim me." And so he signed with the Blues instead of Edmonton. I thought it was just fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then I watched them win 4 Stanley Cups with Grant.
Yeah. But then he says, then the joke at him. Then he's like, "But," he goes, "if I hadn't come to St. Louis, I never would have met my wife."
Exactly.
And they were like, "Okay, we have to ask the question, your wife or 4 Stanley Cups?"
Fantastic. So anyway, congratulations. And the organization, I told everybody that I could come in contact with. I'm amazed continually that the Blues never make a mistake in events like this. The Blues do such a great job, and I'm not amazed that they do a great job. I'm amazed that there's never a hitch, that everything goes off so well, because every other organization in the world has a hitch, and the Blues, for whatever reason, you do everything right. So congratulations on that.
Well, yeah, Randy, thanks. And you know what? We do have some hitches. We hide them pretty good when they do happen. I think, I didn't hide this one. I introduced John Kelly last year as a TV voice of the Cardinals. So that one was a fun mistake in there. But but no, you know what? Listen, the amount of work that Mike Caruso, who's been with his team for a long time, did behind the scenes, the planning, the organizing, is amazing. Trevor Nickerson, who started, Trevor Nickerson started
with us
basically as an intern at TTRS and stuff, and then eventually, worked his way in as our road engineer, then home engineer, and now vice president of Blue Note Productions. Just a great story. Randy Gersh, I don't know that there is a better, for him, it's vice president of community development and special events. I don't know that there's a better guy in pro sports than Randy Gersh and his team. And everybody behind the scenes was fantastic. It takes a lot of people, as you know. It takes a lot of planning. The coordination with the MAC is always spectacular, and it was a fun night.
Yeah, it always is a great event. Well, Kerbs, I wanted to ask you about the Blues' response, the way that they responded against the Caps, being able to shut them out 3-0 the other night. And I wanted to see what you thought about that, because here's the thing. We heard Drew Bannister. He pointed out the effort and the lack of execution in that last game against the Caps, but that definitely wasn't the case there. What is it about the Blues where you have that, where they have the lack of effort and execution, and then they're able to turn around so quickly?
There's been something in the DNA of this team for several years, to be honest with you, where once they get on a little bit of a roll, or once they do something well, they seem to think it's going to be easy. And for whatever reason, the foot comes off the gas pedal. And I can't explain it. It's hard it's hard to understand that when you're dealing with pro sports, but it does happen. I just think, Brooke, in the end, I think guys came out with some pride. I don't have any other way to describe this other than they came out with some pride. They came out with some heart, and they played hard. And I think they had to feel pretty rotten after the way things went in the previous 2 games against Philadelphia and Washington. And look, they know that they still have a chance at a playoff spot, but they know it's an uphill battle. And there are guys that are striving to make it. When you've got a goaltender like Jordan Binnington, you've got a chance every night to win. And that's got to give you something, to build on. But now the key is they've got to build on it. They've got to look at each other in the room, and it's a process. And they're just look. This team is not good enough as a group to be able to take shifts or periods off. Very few in the NHL are, to be honest with you. That's not just talking about this team, but like you've got to bring it every single night or somebody's going to beat you. And some of it is growing pains. Some of it is, some of the youthful guys you've turned into. But there's a lot of veterans on this hockey team, right? And when you're not as fast as other teams, when your special teams aren't as good as other teams, you've got to play it cleaner and better. It's the old, it's the old Top Gun line right at the beginning of the movie. Your body's writing check. You're writing checks your body can't cash, right? And the Blues are in that situation where they got to play a really good game. And here's the other thing: it's not going to look pretty sometimes. Right now, they might have to win ugly, but winning is still a lot more fun than losing, right, Nuke? I mean, that's
right.
I mean, that's the key there. And look, the LA Kings are a team you can look at. For several years, they switched to a 1-3-1, choke it up in the neutral zone. It wasn't an exciting level of play, but they got Anze Kopitar and they got Drew Doughty, and they got for a while there Jonathan Quick, and they bought in and they did it. And in that process, they turned things around while guys were developing into a better team. And now they're a playoff team a couple years in a row. And that may be where the Blues have to go right now, and they have to accept it. And some players seem to be having a harder time accepting that than others.
And Kerbs, you just lead me into my next question in perfect fashion, because LA is a great example with those players that you mentioned. With the Blues, nobody questions the leadership ability of the core, the leadership core. What I question is the ability of the other players, the young players, to accept being held accountable. It's almost like, okay, you can do what Braden Shen can talk till he's blue in the face, but until the other players, the young players, are willing to accept the accountability to be there every night, then the leadership really doesn't have a great effect.
No, I agree with you, Randy, but I also think, in all fairness to those guys, I think that the veteran players on this team, there's a good number of them that have more to give. There's a good number of them that have to be more impactful. I don't think you can hang what's going on right now solely on young guys and things like that. Like prior to getting hurt, Kasperi Kapanen was playing some very good hockey, but not very productive offensively. Okay, look what happened with Verana this year. Didn't work, right? That's a shame. Look at other guys that have, been a part of this team. Sammy Blais, hitting things a lot at the beginning of the year that fell off, having a hard time getting back in the lineup right now. Things along those kind of lines. And even some of the veteran guys, they're, whether it's more impactful minutes in your top six, if Brandon Saad gets moved up there, whatever it may be, there's more. And defensively, it's a veteran group back there for the most part. There's plenty more to get from these guys, and that's what it's going to have to take. And we talked. There's the play of the LA Kings, Randy, and then the other thing I'd encourage people to do right now is go look at the Boston Bruins and look at what they did when they went to the Stanley Cup Final in 2011 and won it. They went back a couple years later, right? Then they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. But look what they did when they missed those playoffs 2 years in a row. They still had a good core. They still had Pasternak. They still had Bergeron, right? They still had they had Krejci and they had Marchand. Okay, well the Blues still have a core of championship players as well, and it's what they did in those two drafts that turned their franchise around in a real hurry. And there are some examples in the National Hockey League of where the Blues are at, what needs to do to be successful as the Kings and the Bruins have been, but to do that, you really got to get, I think, more from everybody in your lineup and that buy-in top to bottom.
Hey, before we let you go, if the NHL wanted to, they could have a Winter Classic in our parking lot this morning.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, listen, I got to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure why Parkway and some of these other schools waited till 5 a.m. to call things off today. Okay? Like, in all fairness, and I know some of the people in the district, I love them, but look, like, we knew what was coming, and even if we didn't, it's not that big of a deal to give the kids the Monday off anyway, but we didn't need to say, get up at 5 a.m. to find out you don't have school, right?
Exactly. You are so right.
Yeah. I hope, we had an ice storm when I was working down in Birmingham, Alabama once.
Oh, man.
And some of our players, and it was like a half an inch of ice, okay, which buried the city. Okay. Now, we worked for an owner at the time that said, come on into work. We're like, are you serious? Like, they called a state of emergency. We get in a car wreck Insurance doesn't cover what we're. But he goes, you got to come into work. We got a call from the police chief down in Hoover, which is a suburb of Birmingham, that said, Mr. Clarkson, could you please call some of your players and ask them to stop ice skating down the middle of some of these roads? We're trying to get things taken care of. We had players that had skates at home that decided, oh, what the heck, and took their skates out and just started skating down streets.
That's awesome. I love
fantastic.
it. By the way, the forecast tomorrow in Calgary, high of 41, low of 19. Here in St. Louis, you've got a high of 42. So you basically have the same weather in Calgary tomorrow that you have here.
Yep, I looked that up, figured out what I needed to pack, and we'll be all set. So at least it won't be a culture, a weather shock when we get in there.
No doubt. Kerbs, have a great trip. Thanks so much. Have a great week. We always appreciate talking to you, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, guys, thanks. And don't forget about the great folks at Classic Air Care. They're going to take care of you in the winter, all right?
Right, and a big day for that today. That is Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, here on 101 ESPN. Next up, we've got the fight. I assume we need a fighter.
Yes, you took down Gary, who had the audacity to win a round. And you took him out.
Audacity.
Definitely. And with your Jordan win streak, too.
Was it 22 or 23?
It was 23, right?
Yeah, you won 23. Okay. You were going for the double. You were going for the double dozen, and
I have a new goal.
That's been, in fact, that you tied your old goal. You had 23 before. It's the double
We're
dozen.
unleashing something right now.
It's the double dozen that gets you.
It's a mental block that I'm dealing with. So we got to get over the Michael Jordan hump here.
Just can't win that 24th straight.
Darn it. Coming up, the fight. Get your text in to the text line 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with your name and the word fight. And maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN. Hey, Fenton Bar and Grill has become my go-to place for lunch or just to hang out, and when the weather is good, to head on over there after golf. But if I'm having a business lunch or if I want to get together with a buddy, I head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. The food is absolutely spectacular. They have great specials every single weekday for lunch, and they have a really cool happy hour, 6 for $6, 7 days a week from 2 to 5 p.m. They have 6 different appetizer options available for $6 each, and they're all absolutely delicious. And you'll love the people over at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Stop by and say hi to the feisty redhead, Kelly, or say hi to Megan. She's such a sweetheart. Colleen, Alicia, the whole crew over there is so friendly, and they'll take care of you and serve you with a smile. It's a great place to go if you want to watch a sporting event. If you want to watch the Blues tomorrow night, they're going to have beer specials throughout the course of the evening. It's really easy to get to. You can see their menu, learn more about Fenton Bar and Grill at fentonbarandgrill.com. When you go in during the day, say hi to Chuck, the manager. He's another great guy. And I'll tell you what, when you go in, check out that menu and make sure that you have their spectacular trash wings. They are the best in town with their signature golden sauce. I would not miss it at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Stop by, and when you do, tell them Randy sent you.
This is Rocchio with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Big divisional weekend for the NFL as the Bills fall to the Chiefs last night in a fascinating game, 27-24. The Lions over the Buccaneers, 31-23. The Lions will face off against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game this next upcoming weekend after their 24-21 victory over the Packers. And the Ravens will face off against the Chiefs after their 34-10 drubbing of the Houston Texans. The Blues, on the other hand, with a 3-0 win over the Capitals, they will be back in action on Tuesday evening with an 8 p.m. puck drop facing off against the Calgary Flames. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Randy Carricker and Matthew Rocchio. Danny Mac will be back here tomorrow, but it is now time for the fight, and our fighter today is Rob. Rob, how are you doing today on this very icy Monday?
Great. How are you?
Good. Did you have to go to work this morning?
I am, and I'm actually in Minnesota. I'm originally from St. Louis, but I listen in on YouTube.
Minnesota. So
he knows how to deal with what we're dealing with.
Okay,
right now.
yeah. So you probably are like
veteran.
laughing at us trying to figure out all this stuff today, and I'm sure it's much worse in Minnesota.
It's not too bad today, but generally speaking, yeah, our lakes have about a foot of ice, so ice fishing's good, but the roads and the weather aren't too bad today.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, we were struggle. We were on the struggle bus this morning. That's for sure. All right, you ready to take on Randy in the fight, Rob?
It'll be an upset if I win, but let's see what happens.
All right, confidence is always key. Question number 1, who is the only goalie in Blues franchise history to win 40-plus games in a single season? Is it Roman Turek, Grant Fuhr, or Curtis Joseph?
Grant Fuhr.
Here's something even Wilt Chamberlain never did in a game. 60 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. Which active player is the only player to ever reach those numbers in a game? Was that Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, or LeBron James?
Jokic.
What is the most played playoff matchup in NFL history? Is it the Cowboys and Packers, Colts and Patriots, or Niners and Packers?
The first one.
Cowboys, Packers is your choice?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Mike Krzyzewski now sits number 1 on just the men's all-time list with 1,202 wins, with 1,129 of those coming with Duke. With which school did he win his other 73 games? Was that Indiana State, Army, or UMBC?
Army.
Are you saying most watched?
All right, we'll double check our score and we'll bring in Randy Carricker.
How are you feeling, Rob?
I don't feel too bad, but we'll see.
No? Yeah. I mean, you never know. It's always harder than it seems, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, here comes Randy with his golf shoes. Prepared for all elements this morning. Randy, say hi to Rob.
Rob, good morning. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We do appreciate it.
So Rob
Certainly.
is originally from St. Louis, right? That's what you said, Rob. And he is in Minnesota now, so he could really handle the elements.
Oh, no doubt. You can. Although you guys have more snow, do you ever deal with ice up there, Rob?
Just on the lake when they're frozen and we go ice fishing.
Yeah, that's great.
That's where I'm jealous because, like, now, because we're dealing with, like, I don't know if it's going to be like 32 today. Is it going to be below 30? Is it going to be above 30? It's going to be all ice questions.
We don't get the ice. We don't get the ice storms like you guys do down there.
Oh, we're learning here. There we are.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? You ready to take on Rob in the fight, Randy?
Ready.
Question number 1. Who is the only goalie in Blues franchise history to win 40-plus games in a single season?
Brooke, that would be Roman Turek.
think with all those wins, you'd pay attention. Here's something even Will Chamberlain didn't do, Randy. 60 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists in a single game. Which active player is the only player to ever reach those numbers in a game?
Wow, 60, 20, and 10?
Yes, sir.
I'll do the lifeline, Matthew.
Is it Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, or LeBron James?
I'm going to go with Luka.
What is the most played playoff matchup, in NFL history?
So the other night was the 10th for the Niners and the Packers. And that might, you got Niners. So Niners have played now in 19 NFC Championship games. Niners, Cowboys. I don't think the Steelers or the Patriots have a record like that. If it would be those two. So I'm thinking we're in the NFC. And I think I'm going to go, I'm going to go Cowboys 49ers, I think.
Oh, I have to read the last one, sorry. Mike Krzyzewski now sits number one on just the men's all-time list after being passed by Stanford's Vanderveer with 1,202 wins. He got 1,129 of those with Duke. With which school did he win his other 73 games?
I think he was at Army before he went to Duke.
All right,
Coach K.
Randy Carricker had to walk to work today in the freezing rain. Did that slow it down? Did that slow down the Megamind? And did Rob, who's built for this weather, being from Minnesota, was he able to come in with a cold weather win? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
I'm sorry, Rob. Even a frozen Megamind still operates pretty well. He got 3, and he beat you 3-1 today.
Oh, bummer. Oh well.
That'll happen. Let's go through those questions. Who is the only goalie in Blues franchise history to win 40-plus games in a single season? It was, in fact, a 42-win season for Roman Turek when they won the President's Trophy, the highest win total in Blues history, but by points as well. Roman Turek, but of course, pay attention, Roman, they're shooting the puck from very far away. Will Chamberlain never put up 60 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists, but Luka Doncic did, the only player in NBA history to ever put up 60, 20, and 10 in that kind of line. The most played playoff matchup in NFL history was, in fact, the Niners and Packers when they played their 10th instance just this weekend. The craziest part about that, Randy, the first time the Packers and Niners faced off in the playoffs, 1995.
Wow, how about that?
Oh, man.
And it is still the most played playoff matchup in NFL history, Super Bowl history, I should say. But that's insane to me that the first one didn't happen until 95.
Yeah.
And Krzyzewski now number one on the just on the men's all-time list, no longer number one all-time in D1 basketball with 1,002 wins. 1,129 came with Duke, and then 73 with Army, where he was the coach after being an assistant with Bobby Knight at Indiana. So it's a 3-1 win for Randy Carricker in today's fight. Rob, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
By the way, a little insight into how the fight sometimes works. The question today, the question for today was originally written as Stanford's Vanderveer became the all-time winning coach. Which men's coach did she pass?
Oh,
and so on the fly, when Randy flicked that first thing, I go, all right, we got to change that question, ladies and gentlemen.
Love when that happens?
I love it when it happens. Keeps me on my feet. It was cold. I had to get the blood flowing a little bit.
That's the fight. Coming up, your favorite moment from the NFL Divisional Weekend. We'll give you ours next on 101 ESPN. Hey, this weather is a perfect example of why you need to get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers to make sure that your furnace is checked out and good to go. They'll send their outstanding service people to your home, and they're going to make sure that your house stays nice and clean. They're going to be very friendly. They're very professional when they come out from Hoffman Brothers. They just have an incredible staff, and what they're going to do is clean out your furnace, make sure that everything is in good working order. They'll put a new furnace filter in there, and then if there are any problems, if your furnace is old or if there is a problem with it, they're going to tell you what the problem is and tell you how it needs to be fixed or maybe when it needs to be fixed. A few years ago, our furnaces were old, and Hoffman Brothers said, you might want to just be ready to have to get a new furnace in the next couple of years. So we did, and Hoffman Brothers installed it, and we could not be happier with our experience than we are with Hoffman Brothers. You can find them on the web at hoffmanbros.com, HOFFMANN, or just go to give them a call, 314-664-3011, and set up your appointment today, and they'll make sure that your home is going to be nice and comfortable and warm for the rest of the winter. Get your furnace checked out. Call today or hop online at hoffmanbros.com to set up your appointment and have Hoffman Brothers be your heating and cooling dealer. The NFL championship games are set for next weekend. The early game at about 3 o'clock St. Louis time is going to be the AFC matchup between the Chiefs and the Ravens, and then the night game is going to be Kansas or the 49ers as they take on the Detroit Lions. A great weekend of football. And, Brooke, there were so many things to like about this weekend. And what I like is when coaches zig when I think they're going to zag, and that's what John Harbaugh and Todd Monken did, because I'm sure that DeMeco Ryans was thinking at halftime, okay, the Ravens are tied with us. We've been able to play with them, and they're going to do what they do. They're going to lean on us, and they're going to hand the ball off to start the second half. Well, out comes Lamar Jackson with a 9-yard pass to Nelson Aguilar, a 19-yard pass to Isaiah Likely, a 3-yard run by Lamar. Rashad Bateman catches a 9-yard pass. Then Lamar throws incomplete before running for a 15-yard touchdown. In the opening drive of the second half, they never handed it off. They never tried to lean on Houston, and they wind up taking a 17-10 lead and roll because they ultimately did lean on Houston, and they just beat them. But with that first drive of the second half, I'm sure that DeMeco Ryans was beside himself that Jackson was throwing and not handing the ball off. And that was my favorite moment is if you watch the Ravens play, you know that they're just a tough physical group, and they kind of got away from that, but there was a method to their madness, and they rolled, and they showed what they are. I really appreciate the Chiefs, and the Chiefs do, as they showed again last night. They have the heart of a champion. But, man, I think Baltimore is going to be really tough to beat.
They are going to be really tough to beat. I'm really excited for that game because my favorite game of the weekend was Bills and Chiefs. But the Ravens and specifically Lamar Jackson, how he was able to orchestrate that comeback in the second half, I think says a lot about him and also proving those doubters wrong. I feel like that was kind of the theme for a lot of the quarterbacks this weekend is being able to prove those narratives and shut them down. And Lamar Jackson did that on his way to his second MVP. That conversation of he's only had one playoff win. Now the Ravens really do look like maybe the most well-rounded team. Would you say the most well-rounded team amongst those who are left?
They are. And it was shocking that they allowed a touchdown on a punt return because John Harbaugh was a special teams coach, but that's the only touchdown they allowed. Their defense is great. As we mentioned earlier, they only allowed 213 yards, was it, of total off?
Yeah, somewhere around there, I believe.
213 yards of total offense in the game, including just 68 in the second half. The defense is fantastic. The offense, Lamar's the fastest guy in the league. They have a bunch of good receivers. Now they have a bunch of good running backs. They have maybe the best offensive line in the league. And their special teams generally are impervious. So, yeah, I would say they're the most well-rounded team.
Did you see John Harbaugh in the locker room afterwards celebrating and the way that he was dancing? Yeah. I was like, man, that's everybody after an open bar at a wedding. That's
exactly.
That's like a universal dance move that you were seeing him do there.
Yeah.
I thought that was just really funny to see.
Okay, take it or leave it. When the Ravens play next Sunday, Jim Harbaugh will still be able to wear Ravens gear.
Ooh.
Or will he be wearing Chargers or Falcons gear?
It doesn't seem like, I haven't seen any reports that the Chargers are exactly ready yet. Have you?
Doesn't seem like another. Giving a bunch of second interviews.
I might just have to leave it just because I don't think the decision will be made just yet. But I feel like it's his, right?
It seems like it. But maybe he'll go back to Michigan. Take the $125 million.
You never know. Well, I think that two of my favorite moments for this weekend, outside of, because I think obviously that huge moment with the Chiefs and Bills, like that's going to be top. That was just an incredible game overall. And just another, can I just also say that, don't we know that either way, if Tyler Bass hadn't missed that field goal, that Patrick Mahomes would have found some other just heart-wrenching way to absolutely crush the Bills in that moment? You knew it was going to happen.
He stepped on their hearts.
Yeah, but I also think that Brock Purdy, what he was able to do, especially when we were talking about you want your quarterback, what has he done in those clutch moments? And I think that was a big conversation about if Brock Purdy had that ability. Was it a good game for him? No, but he helped orchestrate, Randy, a 12-play, 69-yard game-winning drive in the closing minutes, which is what he needed to do for that team. Once again, not great in this game. Yes, he has a lot of weapons, but the fact that they were able to come from behind, that they were able to have that huge moment that Brock Purdy was able to really step up in, and you were able to do it without Deebo Samuel, I think that was huge for the 49ers.
49ers were 0-3 without Deebo this year. The game he got hurt in.
Oh, I remember that
with
stretch,
Cleveland, and then that was when they lost the 3 in a row, and then they lost to Baltimore, obviously, but he is the most important part of their offense. Kind of like Mark Andrews has been over the years for the Ravens. So for those two teams to win without those two key elements of their offenses says a lot about the team, says a lot about the coaching, but I think most of all says a lot about the quarterbacks.
It does. And then, of course, I talked about this earlier, but just want to say it again. I thought that was an identity moment for Dan Campbell and the Lions because it showed their grittiness and also how they're not afraid of other teams. Their flash and pizzazz in the third quarter when it was tied 4-4, and it's fourth down, and Dan Campbell goes for it, and he goes to his third back and is basically just saying, my guy is better than your guy. And I think it just shows the trust that this group has, and it's working out for the Lions this season. Yeah.
Now, Brooke, one team that changed my opinion about them, and it wasn't the team as much as it was the individuals, but Juwan Taylor, the right tackle for the Chiefs, led the league in penalties this year with 21. And Donovan Smith, their left tackle, was not very good. Last night, the Chiefs only commit 2 penalties, and neither of those tackles committed either of them, and they didn't allow a sack. If those tackles can hold up against a really good Buffalo front four, I kind of think they might be able to hold up against Baltimore. That might be something that Baltimore was counting on, is being able to get after Mahomes via those tackles. Maybe they won't be able to.
Yeah, I didn't realize, too, somehow I missed this. I'm sure it was brought up in conversation that, and you pointed this out during one of the breaks, is that the Chiefs' defense is really young.
Yeah, youngest in the league.
I didn't realize that. It makes sense when you think about it, but I just didn't realize that. So that's something that you're looking forward to in the future with them, because their defense, I've been saying this, is they're the MVPs of the season for the Chiefs, in my opinion.
No question, because the offense really hasn't been great, but they've done a great job of drafting young players, and the key is you need really smart people to play Spags' defense, and that must be what they have, because he gives a lot of looks and a lot of things that people don't understand, a lot of players don't understand, and he's got that group playing at an extraordinarily high level.
I think going back to a team and a player that changed my mind this week, and I'm going back to Brock Purdy, because I also have bought into the game manager thing. I don't know if he exactly got away from that narrative this weekend because it wasn't a great game, but once again, great quarterbacks are clutch in the moments that matter. Yep. What did I say earlier, Randy? I took your quote, don't tell me about the labor, just show me the baby, and that baby's a win, and Brock Purdy led them to that.
He sure did. Okay, so first blush, first game next Sunday, and we've got all week to analyze these games.
Yes, we do.
But Baltimore and Kansas City, who do you like? First blush.
Okay, I was the only one that picked the Chiefs this past weekend. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I was the only one.
Yep.
You guys were down on them. I still stood by the Chiefs. Gosh, that's tough, though. But that was, I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to go with the Chiefs again.
Okay.
Offensively, that was one of their best games. I think they'll be able to build off of that. We talked about their defense. I'll just go with that.
And by the way, after our show on Friday, I'm listening to Greeny, and he announces that Sean McDermott had announced that 4 defensive starters were up for Buffalo. So I did change my mind a little bit after that.
You wanted to go back in time.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens are just the best team. And then San Francisco and Detroit. I love what Detroit has done this year, but I think it's going to be really hard for them to go on the road and win at San Francisco all year long. I have believed that San Francisco and Baltimore were the 2 best teams in the league, and I still think that now.
Well, are you a little bit concerned? And after I just talked about that they were able to win this game without Deebo Samuel, but does it concern you that he might not be available for that game?
No, it really doesn't. I just think that San Francisco has so many more good players.
They do. Oh, my gosh. Even Jawan Jennings coming out in that game. I mean, that was a huge moment for him. I wasn't even expecting that.
Yeah. And one of the things yesterday was, yesterday, I didn't think Tampa, and they just aren't capable of handling that front 4 of Detroit very well. I think that the 49ers, with their offensive line, will handle that front 4 pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think 100%. I like the Lions this season a lot, and they still have a bright future. I mean, there's a lot of things working for them. We talked about that rookie class, so they're going to be a force to deal with for a while.
If they have home field, if they had home field for this game, I think I would probably pick them. But the fact that they have to go on the road makes it different. But man, that sounded like our dome back in the day yesterday in
Did
Detroit.
It really?
Yeah, it was unbelievable how loud that was.
Yeah.
So it was great. I think whoever was doing the game said it was the loudest game all year. Was it Collinsworth, right? No, was it them? Was it Collinsworth? Yeah, it was Tirico and Collinsworth. Yeah. And Collinsworth said it was the loudest stadium that he'd heard all year. And by the way, Mike Tirico grew up in Detroit, lives in Detroit, so that had to be so cool for him. Did you notice Aiden Hutchinson just kind of, after the game, just looking around, taking it in?
Yeah.
So cool.
It is.
It was great for him. Another Detroit kid. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got our rush hour reset for you here on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know what's going on with my friends at Schnucks because they're bringing you, again, St. Louis food and wine. It's February 2nd and 3rd at Union Station, and it features hundreds of wines, a selection of craft beers, and culinary delights around every single corner. It's a can't-miss event of the year. It is presented by Schnucks to benefit the Rep and Operation Food Search. Now, you have to be 21 or older to attend, but here's some of the cool things about it. On Friday, February 2nd at Union Station from 7 to 10, the grand tasting event. You can spend an evening sampling exceptional vintages from prominent domestic and international vintners and feast on gourmet food in the beautifully designed Grand Hall at Union Station. Plus, a commemorative wine glass is included. Then on Saturday from noon to 5, you enjoy a full day of sampling hundreds of wines and a variety of gourmet food offerings. Experience wine tastings from the world's premier growing regions, and again, a commemorative wine glass is included. That's Friday, February 2nd and Saturday, February 3rd at Union Station. St. Louis Food and Wine presented by Schnucks. The website for more information, schnucks.com/STL Food Wine.
Drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
If you're trying to get out in a boat, be careful out there. It is slippery. It is slippery out there. I kind of slid down my driveway today on the way to work as I was trying to walk to my car, and I figured, well, if I can't walk with my car, I better not try to drive my car. So I walked to work.
You did, and you used golf shoes, which is honestly such a smart tactic. I don't know why I didn't think about that, because I did the same thing this morning where it was very slippery, because ice is so misleading. You see it and you're like, oh, it's just wet. You know, I'm fine. And then I get out there and then I shrieked for help. Early this morning in U City, if you heard that. Sorry about that. But you had everything. I mean, look at all the setup you have. You have a bandana. What's the bandana for?
No, that was already here. I think that's something that Anthony uses.
I was like, wait a minute. Is this, well, it makes sense to cover your face while it's cold or something. You have all the gloves. You have the hat. You have the golf shoes. You have all the essentials to survive.
I was prepared.
And you brought your food a day early, too?
I did. I brought my stuff in yesterday.
Oh, my gosh,
I was
Randy.
concerned.
I was not prepared whatsoever. I was just like, I'll figure it out.
You were worried that the meteorologists were going to do as they usually do and try to scare us, and then nothing happens.
Oh, no. Tempe wouldn't do that to us.
Oh, Tempe's good.
He is, yes.
Don't you get a free umbrella if Tempe messes up, something like that?
Do they have that
Channel
as
4
a promotion?
Used to have that deal. I don't know if they still do. Maybe they don't, since now they're first alert.
They're first alert now, and we're second.
We are Second Alert 101. So over the weekend, well, let's just start with this. The Blues are at Calgary tomorrow night and then at Vancouver on Wednesday night. The Blues with a 3-0 win over the Capitals on Saturday night. Binner with 18 saves, goals from Parayko, Schenner, and Neighbors as the Blues get back on the win in the win column. And they're still 5 points behind the final wild card spot in the West.
It's just the up and down. Now we're back to that, right? I felt like we got to wait for it for a little bit because you have Drew Bannister coming in, new coach, new message-ish. I don't think the message was any different, just a different voice, basically. And then, I don't know, it's just still now up and down. I feel like they would need to, I feel like these 10 games, or even, I guess you could say 20 as well, but I would say even more so 10 games, that it was very important for them to develop some sort of win streak. We talked about that. They really haven't developed. What is their longest win streak this season? Like, how many games in a row they won?
To 4 or
Have
not?
I feel like 3 is what I can think of off the top of my head.
They've had multiple opportunities to get 4 games over 500 and haven't been able to do that.
And that's what I'm saying, is that it just feels like that's still not there. That hasn't developed for him. And I thought it was interesting, of course, when in the game when you win, then it's weird to call out maybe not having a player in the game. But Randy, I thought it was, I get it. Scandella came back into this game, so you have to make room for him. They like Kessel a lot. But sitting Perunovic threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, I guess they feel like they've evaluated him and they just want to look at other people.
But with Bannister, didn't he say something along the lines of he's not afraid of taking away ice time for a player that's not doing well? But I'm just going to point it out. What did we see in those two games? It was Torrey Krug and it was Justin Falk, who is coming back from injury, that really led to a lot of those mistakes in the games.
Yeah, they are, as Kerb said, the veteran players are not immune from criticism here. They shouldn't be.
No, they're definitely not. But a win's a win, and they got that.
The NFL Conference Championship games are set for next weekend. So at 2 o'clock, Chiefs at Baltimore next Sunday, followed by at 6:30 St. Louis time, 5:30 St. Louis time, Lions and Niners. So you've got both games set up. After yesterday's Lions 31-23 win over the Buccaneers, and last night the Bills over the Chiefs over the Bills, rather, 27-23. 27-24. Tyler Bass with an opportunity to tie the game with just over a minute to go. And here's what happened to the Bills kicker.
Make one for us. The game on the line, he will. 44 yards. Bass. No, he doesn't make it. Wide right. Wow. The two most dreaded words in Buffalo have surfaced again.
Yes, they have. Wide right, and the game stays 27-24. Kansas City gets out of Highmark Stadium with a victory.
Tyler Bass isn't the reason that they lost that game. Of course, that was a very, very, very important moment. But I really think the difference in the game was this, is that the Chiefs had 8 plays of 20 yards or more. The Bills had none.
Right. And the stupidest rule, maybe in all of sports, came into play again with that McCole Hardman fumble.
Yeah.
That's just such a stupid rule, that because if you fumble it out of bounds and it's not through the end zone, then you get to keep the ball. Why is it that if you fumble it into the end zone and it goes through, that it's a touchback? It makes no sense at all. I have no idea why that rule's in place.
No. What should they change it to?
Where you fumbled. Like if you fumble at the 1 yard line and it goes out of bounds. It
really doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
No. But either way, I thought it was a great game. Outside, if you're a Bills fan, I'm so sorry for you today. If you're a Chiefs fan, you are very excited with the end result there. But
so what have you been saying to Bills fans this morning here at the
I haven't been saying
buildings?
Anything, Randy. I don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't brought anything up to any of the Bills fans around you?
No. I said that was a great season for you guys. I really did say that.
Good.
But amongst other things. But yeah, I said it's a great season for you guys. Look, it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun what is happening there. But either way, that was a fantastic game. You had Jason Kelsey shirtless, matching the energy of Bills Mafia. You had Taylor Swift in there hugging. She's kind of getting choked out by Brittany Mahomes. That was a little weird.
Yeah.
And then you had Patrick Mahomes getting like pelted with snowballs as he's
loving it.
leaving.
Yeah.
That was everything. All the theatrics that we would want. I know that both the teams will look different, but it's still exciting to see.
And then one other thing, Dayton drilled SLU on Friday night, and Ross Chaffetz went on social media, and you were telling me about this morning.
But here's the thing, is that here's the thing. He didn't directly say who he was talking about, but it's easy to put the puzzle pieces together, right? So he said, I will pulls it up for you right now. He said, not good, exclamation point.
And it's not. Things are not going well for the St. Louis U basketball program. And sure, they had the injury to Sincere Parker, but everything else has been fine in terms of their health. And even coming into the season, people close to the program didn't know how good or bad they were going to be. And this is just, and by the way, SLU are in the midst of a record before this season, 4 straight years with 20 or more victories. But this just is not a very good, it doesn't appear to be, St. Louis U basketball team.
No. And I feel like, and this is just my own perception and opinion of this, but just watching from the outside, it felt like there's a lot of conversation about Travis Ford and possibly his seat heating up. What do you think the feeling is right now around this?
And I wondered, but I think that's where any heat is going to come from, is from the Chaffetz family. So when I see that, I wonder if maybe it is heating up a little bit. And as I've said before, I don't know what the commitment level is to having great basketball at SLU. I don't know what their level of commitment to having great NIL, getting great players in here is. There's no good reason to bring in a different coach if you aren't prepared to commit in the new college environment, and that includes using the transfer portal and using NIL. If you're going to have the same sort of approach where you don't have great players for another coach, it's not going to do you any good. So you better, if you're going to make a commitment, commit.
And I know that especially during my time here in St. Louis covering the Billikens, that they have done a lot. But my expectation, at least what I've seen from recent years and from fans, is that they should be winning a conference championship or at least competing for it every single year. And I know that you've had the loss of Yuri Collins. You've had the loss of Javonte Perkins and Hassan French, all these Jordan Goodwin, all these big players that have been there for a long time. But I feel like that is the expectation, is competing for a conference championship or winning the conference championship every year.
Yeah. That's what they should be. They should be the Gonzaga of the Midwest. In theory, that's the schools are the same. The approach is the same. The facilities here are better. Both big markets. Seattle is Gonzaga. St. Louis is St. Louis University. Yeah, they should be, as a program, you would think, if they made a big-time commitment, better than they are. By the way, I said Dayton. Dayton was last Tuesday. They lost to VCU on Friday, 85-61. So there is your rush hour reset. Coming up, we want to hear from you on the Cardinal signing of Matt Carpenter here on 101 ESPN. Hey, one of the things that happens when we have an ice storm like we're having this morning is it can really negatively affect your gutters. If you have older gutters, maybe a little rust has set in, you're going to notice on a morning like today or when you come home tonight from work that maybe your gutters are a little bit damaged and you need new gutters, and that's where Gutter Pros comes in at gutterpros.com. The ability of gutter people has advanced so much. The technology of gutters, and with the materials that they're made with, they've come such a long way that you can go to gutterpros.com and they can put in basically a lifetime gutter for you. Just take a look at your gutters and then go to gutterpros.com and set up an appointment. And not only can they do a great job on upgrading your gutters, but they can provide leaf protection and they'll do soffit and fascia. Now, are they going to come out and do gutters on an icy morning like this? No. But go to Gutter Pros, make an appointment with them to come out and provide a free estimate, and they'll come anywhere within 50 miles of their downtown facility, and their experienced staff is going to tell you exactly what you need, exactly what it's going to take to have your gutters be perfect. You'll love working with them. They're St. Louis people, and they're A-plus rated by the BBB. 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. Just go and set up your appointment today at Gutter Pros, Gutter, gutterpros.com.
we're excited. Matt Carpenter was someone that we were always fond of when he was here.
Putting the band back together. Forget it. No way. We're on a mission from God.
And, as we were looking at our club right now, we definitely wanted to try to find somebody with some experience who's been through some things.
What could it cost? $10?
And, was speaking with Ollie and his group, we thought this would be a pretty good fit.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. We are laughing.
If you can't laugh at this, then you're just not having enough fun at show business.
There's a little chuckle, and it's done.
We're getting the band back together, Randy. Why could you be upset about that? What is wrong with bringing back Matt Carpenter? You're bringing everybody back. Have we asked Jim Edmonds if he wants to get out of the booth and back in center field?
No, but we should. Brooke, tradition meets today. Literally.
That's true. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that is so true. And that's why I'm not exactly shocked. I was shocked at first. My initial reaction was shock and surprise and checking the calendar. But at the same time, this is what the Cardinals do, Randy, right? This is what they do. And I think another big part of this is something that Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt wanted.
Great. Good. That's. I'm glad that they took care of those guys. But does that mean that those guys are going to perform better? I hope that this means the team is going to perform better. From a baseball standpoint, I can't see how, and this is purely an on-field standpoint, I can't see how Matt Carpenter makes the Cardinals a better team. Now, maybe his presence will enhance the performance of others because he gives them warm fuzzies. But I have trouble seeing from a baseball standpoint how this makes the Cardinals better. Now, if it works, great. If he winds up being this leader and he's the first player to be able to hold up the World Championship trophy, I will admit I'm wrong. But I just don't see how Matt Carpenter, makes the Cardinals better.
Well, and you were there for the press conference. My big takeaway is that it wasn't about the numbers. It wasn't about what he's done recently. It's more about what he has meant to the organization and also what he will be able to do, hopefully, for that clubhouse. And I think it's interesting because Katie Wu of The Athletic, she has an article out right now where she talks to Nolan Arenado. And he says when it comes to veteran leadership, I'm a big believer that to win a championship, you need a good veteran core with some good young players. If you don't have veteran players, I just feel like it's so hard to win because young players don't have that leadership, that experience you can lean on. When you have veteran players, you can lean on the fact that they've been there before, and I think that's how you win. Last year, we were fairly young, and obviously you saw the result of that.
I wonder if he watched the World Series and watched the Arizona Diamondbacks in the playoffs.
I would assume so. I would hope so. He seems to be baseball obsessed, so I would assume that he would have paid attention to that.
So I wonder who Tommy Pham? Was it the acquisition of Tommy Pham?
Can you imagine? I'm sorry, for a moment. And Tommy Pham, super nice. Yep. He is actually a very, very nice, kind guy. Does a lot of charity work. But can you imagine bringing Tommy Pham, saying that you need a clubhouse guy, and then you bring in Tommy Pham? Is
it Christian Walker? I'm trying to.
Yeah.
And I say this with all due respect to Nolan, but I don't know if now the team that won the World Series. I mean, you bring in Seager, who's won a World Series MVP before. Mm-hmm. Bringing in a Marcus Semien, bringing in a DeGrom, bringing in a Scherzer. Yeah, they bringing in an Eovaldi. Yes, but those were Eovaldi did it on the field for you. Seager did it on the field for you. Semien did it on the field for you. Is Matt Carpenter going to do it on the field for you? I think that's really doubtful.
But here's the thing, is that it's just no harm, no foul, right? I mean, best case scenario, worst case scenario. I don't really see this being a big deal. They talked about how his time is going to be limited, and they seemed to talk about this last year, and I'm going to bring up a name that we haven't talked about in a while. Taylor Motter, right? Somebody who is fine with taking a limited role. Now, did we see Motter a little bit more than I would have liked to last season? Yes. I hope that's the same case. But I feel like with this, it's just not maybe that big of a deal.
So he's a mascot.
No, he's a 26 man who is going to get really limited time. He's just going to be a bench bat, and it seems like it's more about what he will provide from a veteran leadership standpoint because, I mean, Nolan seems to think that does it not seem like in that quote that Nolan thinks if he's assessing what went wrong with the season last year, that's what he's pointing to.
Yeah, he is. And by the way, when Whitey Herzog took over the managership of the managership, when he took over as Cardinals manager in 1980, somebody asked him who the leader of his team was going to be because he had veterans. He had Hernandez, he had Hendrick, he had Simmons at the time. He said, well, I'm the manager. I'm the leader. The manager. I'm the leader. Was there ever a day where you didn't think that Tony La Russa was the leader of the Cardinals when he was their manager? To me, he was the leader. So Bruce Bochy seems to me to be the leader of the world champion Texas Rangers. Dusty Baker was a leader for the world champion Houston Astros. To me, there's some responsibility on the part of the manager to actually be the leader.
And is that a concern that there could be too many cooks in the kitchen? Because we talked about the Padres earlier about how they had a great lineup, a lot of all-star talent, a lot of veteran leadership, but then none of it came together because then you have too many leaders in one room to the point where it felt like none of them got along.
Right. It could wind up being an issue. I've got a really good text here from the 636, but it's good, but I question it, and here's why. So about the signing of Matt Carpenter, here we go again, giving St. Louis fans who actually fall for it all the warm and fuzzy feelings while creating a team that's going to be mediocre. That's all it was. It's about getting people to the stadium to spend the money. It's obviously not about winning, and I would like to add nothing personal to Matt Carpenter. Here's the thing, Brooke, I haven't run across a single person, not one, who says, oh, what a great move, or thinks that this is warm and fuzzy, or thinks that they're going to buy tickets because of the presence of Matt Carpenter. I haven't seen it on social media. I haven't talked to that person yet. I haven't heard that person on our air. Have you?
No, I have not. But I think that there's a lot of people who've gotten to the point, and I've gotten to the point as well, where to me, it just makes sense. That's the theme of this offseason. It's what the Cardinals do. I think best case scenario in this situation and worst case scenario with this whole Matt Carpenter situation, I talked about this on Twitter and some people could not read properly on this, but is that best case scenario is what happened with Albert Pujols. And before you say, whoa, don't put them in the same sentence, obviously numbers-wise, this is not what we're talking about because the Cardinals aren't even talking about numbers, Randy. This is more about the presence he will bring. I think Albert Pujols is a great comparison of if you just want to, it was a season. Remember, people didn't really like the Albert Pujols signing at first. Some people didn't because he wasn't doing as well towards the end there. But then in his time, of course, he did a lot more than I expect Matt Carpenter to do, hopefully. But it was a nice ending to a really good career. And I think that's what we're all hoping for here is that even in his limited time, it won't be terrible and won't see it drug out. Now, worst case scenario is that it really doesn't work out and you get to a point where he can't hit. How do the Cardinals handle this? That's my concern.
Right. And before we get to a mic drop from Terry, let me give you my best and worst. Best case scenario is that the Cardinals have a season like Atlanta had last year where Sean Murphy played 108 games. Travis d'Arnaud was their other catcher. They basically platooned behind the plate. Matt Olson played 162. Ozzie Albies played 148. Orlando Arcia played 139. Austin Riley played 159. Eddie Rosario played 142. Michael Harris II played 138. Ronald Acuna Jr. played 159. Marcelo Ozuna played 144. Best case scenario, the Cardinals get that kind of durability from their starting eight. Worst case scenario, somebody gets hurt and Matt Carpenter has to play a lot.
And that's the big concern because I think that I was not expecting Toe Mater to play as much as he did last season. Did you?
No.
And I think that that's what Carp is supposed to be, is what Taylor Motter was last season. Hopefully not as much playing time. But remember, that's what Mo said, is they wanted a player that was okay with not playing that much. And he said the same thing in that recent press conference about Matt Carpenter. So hopefully that's the case. But as I said, even in those limited at-bats, if he can't hit, how will the Cardinals handle this situation?
Okay, here's a mic drop from Terry on 101 ESPN.
Hopefully Goldschmidt and Arenado will tell Mo to sign Jordan Montgomery.
That's the best. That's the best. Every time I keep hearing, well, these guys wanted a leader.
There you go.
At some point, I got to think they asked, hey, can we also get a pitcher?
Yep.
Oh, that was well, and that kind of goes back to my whole point, because I feel like winning truly is a cure-all for everything. If you're having clubhouse culture issues, I mean, you could still have a bad clubhouse or locker room, I guess, if you're winning all the time. I mean, look at what happened with the Eagles. But I think in general, winning kind of helps the clubhouse culture.
Everything. Yep. And, oh, by the way, Marp is going to be on with BK and Ferrario today at noon. I wonder if they'll go all Office Space on him.
Oh, yeah?
So what exactly do you do here?
What will your role be? Are you the personality hire? And nothing against Matt Carpenter. Once again, I'm for one, he was so kind to me when I was first starting out here in St. Louis. So kind. I think that this just kind of took a lot of people by surprise. But then once again, Randy, what has been the theme of this offseason for the Cardinals?
Leadership, veteran leadership.
There you go.
Yep. So
will it solve their problems, though, is now the big question. It's in the wait and see mode.
I hope that it does. And I hope that he can revert to his form of 11 years ago.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask for. Well, I didn't ask you. So what is your best case scenario? I said mine, that at least he has, like Albert, at least a nice ride off into the sunset. Obviously not going to produce those kind of numbers. Once again, not going to produce those kind of numbers, but a nice ride off to the sunset. And what is your worst case scenario?
My worst case scenario is that Brendan Donovan gets hurt again, and they decide that they're going to play Matt Carpenter at second base. And he gets a lot of at-bats and performs as he has basically for the last 6 years. Since 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, for the last 5 years. That would not be great. And by the way, best case, Tom Lawless was up with the Cardinals for all of 1987. Lawman's probably listening. Great guy. He had, in the whole season, 25 at-bats and 29 plate appearances. I don't think he had an at-bat until August of that year. That's the best-case scenario, that Matt Carpenter doesn't have to take an at-bat. Let me make sure that might not be right. I hope that I hope that Matt Carpenter doesn't have to take an at-bat until late in the year. Okay, first plate appearance for Tom Lawless. Oh, he did have 3 in April. So, but basically, I don't think he had his first hit until August or something like that. So, had his first hit August 12th. That's my hope, is that Matt Carpenter winds up with 29 plate appearances, 25 at-bats, that he is the 2024 edition of the 1987 Tom Lawless.
And he's there to lift guys up in the dugout. I guess that was the focus. Oh my gosh.
Hopefully we can get a little Josh Groban out of Mark. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, of the losing teams in the NFL this weekend, who has the best future? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, sometimes, especially as you get older, you're walking to work and you just can't get through that walk like you used to be able to do when you were in your 20s. But if you use Mentality, you can get to be 61. And if you have to walk to work in the morning, you can. You can be the best for your family and yourself, have more energy, have a better attitude, and be the best for your wife and kids if you go to Mentality in Chesterfield and South County. Mentality is a great local clinic that provides you the opportunity to restore your testosterone level, because when you don't get through those workouts like you used to, it's probably a drop-off in testosterone. At Mentality, their board-certified physicians are going to do a complete panel to find out where your testosterone level is, and then they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment to get you back to where you were in your 20s and 30s. And you can feel great. Your mental acuity, your sharpness will be better. And on a really slippery morning, if you have to walk to work, you'll be able to. Go to lowtusa.com to get more information. They're going to work closely with you to find out what your insurance situation is, the least out-of-pocket expenses possible. And you can feel great by going to Mentality at lowtusa.com.
You know what I think is funny? Hey everyone, it's Brooke for Universal Windows Direct. I don't have to tell you because it's obviously really cold right now, but where you shouldn't be feeling that cold, drafty air is in your home. So call my guys over at Universal Windows Direct to avoid the cold this winter. But you may be wondering, can windows really make that big of a difference? Yes, they really can. And here's how. Universal's windows, they have this incredible technology developed by NASA called Super Spacer. It helps keep the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, and makes the window last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. So you can get the best windows for your home within your budget, and they perform better and last longer. Call and schedule your free in-home estimate today. For every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 for free, plus a free upgrade to triple pane glass. Tell them that I sent you, and you can get an additional $250 off your project. So for the last windows you'll ever need, go to universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. It was a big weekend in the NFL, the divisional playoffs, and now we have our AFC and NFC championships games. Your NFC championship game will be the 49ers facing off against the Lions. Lions beat up on the Buccaneers 31-23. Niners over the Packers 24-21. And in the AFC, it'll be the Ravens and the Chiefs, following the Ravens trouncing of the Texans 34-10, and the Chiefs just getting by the Bills 27-24. Blues are back in action tomorrow, facing off against the Calgary Flames after their 3-0 victory against the Capitals over the weekend. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
.150 and counting, 5-yard pickup, Bucks to the line. 2 receivers left. Too wide right. Mayfield stands along the right hash in the shotgun. Gets the snap from his center, Hainsey. Throws over the middle, floats it high, and it's intercepted! Picked off by Derek Barnes!
And that ended things for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Detroit advances. And they'll play in the NFC Championship game against San Francisco on Sunday night. That's after the Chiefs and the Ravens at Baltimore at the Bank in Baltimore. Brooke, as you look at this weekend, though, C.J. Stroud and the Texans fall. Jordan Love and the Packers fall. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, who still have some pretty good young players, although Mike Evans is a free agent. And the Buffalo Bills fall to Kansas City, but they still have Josh Allen. Of the 4 teams that lost this weekend, whose future, what team's future would you be most enthusiastic about?
I think it's easy. I think that it's the Packers, 100%. Such a young team, and Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit for what he's been able to do of really building, I'm guessing, a good culture around this team. Jordan Love, the way that they have really formulated things, I think that's the team that has the highest upside, honestly. But you guys know, I'm very excited, even though they're in the AFC South and they compete against my Titans, the way that C.J. Stroud has really emerged this season and what he's able to do in his rookie season. I'm excited to see what the Texans do next year.
See, I am very excited about the Packers too, but I think one of the things they run into is being in the same division as Detroit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they'll be blocked. Maybe they'll get to be as good as the Lions are. But the Texans being in that division with the Titans and the Colts and the Jags, we don't know how good Jacksonville is going to be, but they certainly took a step back this year. And with the 22-year-old quarterback with a really good defensive mind as their head coach, I'm really intrigued to see what the future holds for the Houston Texans. But you know what, Brooke? Even though the Bills, this window of opportunity, we both agree, has closed for them to win a championship. For me, when you have Josh Allen, it's kind of like when the Packers had Brett Favre. You always have a chance to win the game with that quarterback playing for you.
I agree. I think so as well. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens surrounding the Bills.
Yeah, are they going to be able to draft well? Is Shakir, is he going to be good? They got the 2 tight ends. They appear to have a running back now. Cook is only a second-year guy. They need to fix they don't need to fix the offensive line, but they lose both Dawkins and Morse. They're both big money guys for next year. And the biggest issue they have, unfortunately, is that right now Josh Allen is no longer a bargain. He goes from $27 to $47 million. And Stephon Diggs, their best offensive player outside of Josh Allen, goes from 17 to 27. It's going to be hard to keep Diggs around because of the Allen raise.
Well, I think that we all knew that it was going to come down to this, right? That it just wasn't going to work out for the Bills. And so that window closes for them a little bit. And how they navigate this offseason is going to really determine if that window is closed for a while. Because like you said, I think with Josh Allen is around, building around that, it almost seems like it will be a similar situation maybe with what the Chiefs were in and what they've been dealing with, especially with Patrick Mahomes and getting him a lot of receiver help. But at the same time, I think that they will, with Josh Allen, you build around that and they should have some success. I thought this was interesting, and Rocc brought this up during the break, but what about Baker Mayfield? I mean, it's almost like in that game, it was like opposite of Brock Purdy because, I mean, 4 incredible throws and then the next one doesn't work out and then determines everything.
Right. And he kept going back to the tight end, Otten, which is fine, but you do have number 13 on your team. If you're going to make a questionable throw, make it to Mike Evans. And that's the biggest thing. And I don't think any of us here think that Tampa Bay is anywhere above number 4. If I'm going to pick the 4 losing teams,
no,
they're number 4 this weekend. I think the Bills have a better future. I think the Packers have a better future. I think the Texans have a better future. And in part, if they sign Baker Mayfield, I don't know who he's going to throw to. Their defense has gotten old. And I think Todd Bowles of those 4 coaches is probably number 4. So I think that Tampa Bay has real problems if they think that Baker Mayfield is a guy that can lift a team to a championship level. I think he can be part of a team, but I don't think that he can be the reason. It's the old, you can win with him, but you can't win because of him.
No, but I think that you do have to give him a lot of credit because the narrative of everything that he's been able to do, as many changes as he's gone through, I think that that is incredible. He's been able to do that. But I agree with you. I don't think that he's in that conversation, the top 4. I think that C.J. Stroud has a high upside. So does Jordan Love. there's a lot to look forward to with these young teams with young quarterbacks.
That's Brooke. I'm Randy. And coming up on 101 ESPN, we've got Rocc and Roll. Plus, I've got some Matt Carpenter alternatives that maybe the Cardinals could have gone with. That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle and you're concerned about getting a loan, I want you to go to autoloanpro.com. You see Robert Thomas talking about it all the time, but at autoloanpro.com, it really doesn't matter to them what your credit history is. If you can make a payment, they're going to be able to put you in a new vehicle. And whether it's a vehicle that they sell or one that you pick out, they're going to be able to take care of you because they're working with more than 50 lenders to get you the best rate and the best payment available for you. So if you're going to go in and talk to a car dealership, don't just go in and talk to their finance guy and he says, yeah, we've got a great deal on financing, and trust that that's the best deal that you're going to be able to get. Go to autoloanpro.com and get your loan taken care of before you buy a vehicle. It really is amazing what they do. It's a great St. Louis company, and they want to do wonderful things for you. Jim Olive and the Auto Loan Pro staff are great. All you need to do is get started today by going to autoloanpro.com. They're going to work hard to get you the best deal possible. Get into that new vehicle and get the best payment and get the best loan deal at autoloanpro.com.
and roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
I don't know. Was Bob Tewksbury and Vince Coleman not available? Let's bring the Indian Slike back. I mean, let's bring the whole gang back together. I don't understand this signing. It makes no sense to me. Let's just bring back the 80s Cardinals. Where's Willie? Let's bring them all back.
Willie's here.
He is, but can he be a player coach now?
That's a good question. Okay, better or worse than Matt Carpenter?
Oh, no.
Or okay.
No, Randy.
Say rather or not rather, okay?
Oh, no.
We won't do better or worse, rather or not rather, okay? Joey Votto.
Rather.
World Series champion Jock Peterson.
Rather.
Multiple World Series, World Series champion, postseason performer Justin Turner.
Rather.
Multiple World Series champ and can still play shortstop Brandon Crawford.
Rather. Randy, this is not good.
Okay, well, that's I'm just throwing out ideas for you here. World Series champion Michael Brantley.
Rather. I feel bad about this right now because we didn't make this decision.
No, we didn't. But here's the thing. We're talking about leadership. So this might actually add production to leadership. Joey Votto's a great leader.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You got to bring up the money. Always the money.
Always the money.
But we did get a text and goes, they could have gotten Cody Bellinger for this spot. Well no. I mean, it is like a 14x price tag.
Like Jock Peterson, he wore pearls during the World Series run. He was the leader of that Braves team.
But that might be a little too much personality for
this. Okay, good point. Good point, Brooke. So Joey Votto. Okay, good point. Justin. Okay, good point. Brandon Crawford would be wonderful. And he's a leader, and he's got 5 kids. He can take advantage of the zoo.
Randy, you're spiraling a little bit. Let's talk about something that made a little bit more sense over the weekend. How about that?
Okay.
Saturday night, we're in Detroit, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers score a touchdown to make it a 31-23 ball game. Chris Collinsworth broke down their decision to go for 2 like this.
I just want to go back to the 2-point play. So this season, 55% on 2-point conversions is the conversion rate. And the idea that you're just automatically going to make 2 kicks in a row, well, that percentage is only 95%. So you're going to deduct, it's not a 50-50 proposition that you kick the extra point. So when you add those 2 things together, it is very favorable to go for 2 in that situation.
Do you agree with Chris Collinsworth after hearing the explanation again?
Okay, I'm not a math guy. But the conversion rate on 1 point is only 95%, and the conversion rate on 2-pointers is 55%. So it makes more sense to go for 2 when it's 55% because you might get another 55% chance rather than trying to score 2 points on 95% likelihoods. No, I don't get it. And I thought that was a stupid move on the part of Todd Bowles. I would like it better. I could respect it more if you already have the 1 and you're going for the win.
Yeah.
But to me, you set yourself up for the win, right, by kicking the field goal or kicking the extra point, getting within 7, and then go for 2 for the win. If you lose that way, I can respect that. But no, not when you are trying it to get within 23. And then then you have to make the 2-pointer, and there's only a league-wide 55% conversion rate. 55% conversion rate, sure, it's better than 50%, but it's still not great.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Randy.
Yeah.
Maybe too much sense.
I don't know how good Todd Bowles...
Is it just overthinking it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's just overthinking the situation.
Yep. And Todd Bowles, as a head coach, he added an offensive coordinator that didn't enhance their scoring a lot this year. Todd Bowles, by the accounts of people that cover the league that I talk to, is like the nicest head coach in the whole league, but I don't know how good he is.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
That is.
Has been to the playoffs a couple times, right? But
it counts for something.
But the problem is that what's the universal way we talk about a player who's not that good when we don't want to talk about them not being that good? He's a nice guy.
Yeah, it's true.
True. So when you're a coach, I don't know if you want to be. Well, he's a nice guy. He's a really nice coach. Because what are you trying to say?
Yeah, he's not great. So yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
Oh, well, I just thought when you mentioned it earlier in passing that the dumb choice, I was like, you know what? I was fascinated by Collinsworth's explanation of it, so I had to go back and pull it. Let us know, you being the numbers guy you are, Randy, that it was going to really vibe with you.
Yeah, I just don't get it. You're right. But I'm not a math guy like Collinsworth is. I mean, he's in charge of that. But who was it that ripped Pro Football Focus last week? I loved it.
It was J.J. Watt, who again is rooting for his Texans, who are again offensive coordinated by Bobby Slowick, who worked where for 5 years? Pro Football Focus.
Oh.
And he worked in the NFL before he worked at Pro Football Focus, but he did work at Pro Football Focus for 5 years. And so it was funny because all the PFF guys were like taking it around because they were like, well, you're making fun of the guy who helped your quarterback that you love so much in C.J. Stroud have this incredible season. So clearly, we're not doing that bad of a job.
Interesting.
You would drop
is Bobby Slowick's father Bob Slowick? Who's been around like forever?
I think so, yeah.
So I don't know if they want to necessarily take credit for Bobby Slowick.
Yes, that is Bobby Slowick. That is Bobby Slowick's father is Bob Slowick.
Who's 69
to your point, was the defensive assistant for the Cowboys in 1992 and was also the linebackers coach for the Redskins in 2013. So he has a little bit of time in the NFL himself.
Yeah. Let's see. Defensive coordinator of the Bears from 93 to 98, for the Browns in 99. Defensive backs coach for the Packers from 2000 through 2003. Defensive coordinator for the Packers in 2004.
But but PFF is legitimate because Collinsworth bought in and Slowick worked there. So it's legitimate.
Okay.
All their numbers are right.
All their numbers are right.
And you're just an old man who doesn't agree with stats because you don't like it.
One of my favorite things ever, and this is a Belichick thing, which I really liked. It was when he did that thing with Saban, and he said, so we get on the plane, and all my assistants have their iPads out, and they're looking at all the numbers, and I have to tell the guys, this had nothing to do with numbers. We didn't tackle. We didn't play the game the way it's supposed to be played. It has nothing to do with analytics. It has everything to do with blocking and tackling. And then his staff was able to put the iPads down and realize that they actually had to coach the game. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. And thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Brooke. Again, the note for everybody in U-City that might have heard a scream early in the morning.
It was me. I'm going to find the Ring camera video.
How about
I am. I'll post it.
And I don't think that my Ring camera actually has me falling or trying to scurry up the driveway.
You never know. It could.
Yeah, I guess we could take a look, go back and look.
Yeah.
But we're glad that we were here, and we hope
we're survivors, Randy.
And T-Mac we are. T-Mac made it in. T-Mac and Ajax are going to be here for a balloon party. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a great Monday, St. Louis.
That's right.
The one thing that made that divisional round of games even better over the weekend was watching my entries on Underdog Fantasy, the newest game in daily fantasy here in Missouri. It's Underdog's Pick'em Champions. You just pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player stats, and once your entry is ready, you're put in the game alongside other underdogs. My favorite plays this weekend, I was able to win a 3x. That means I got 6x my time of money, and that's what I love about Underdog Fantasy. It's super easy to play. It's even easier to get started, and it's so easy to win money. Go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code ROCC, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a special pick higher than 0.5 total yards to use on your first pick'em entry. That'll be free money coming up here in the championship weekend. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 or more up to $100 doubled, plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.